Afraid not. Are we whispering now? Are we whispering? Why are we whispering? On your shelf in 2 fucking years. I'm literally saying on the podcast, Tord or whoever the fuck listens to us can like look back and go, this is when Brian started complaining about his lost rock bottom that's in Nathan's shelf.
Yeah, I was just sitting there. You saw it previous times at my house.
I have never seen it until today. Yeah, I saw it. And that's a Jeremy street. Yeah, you saw it, obviously.
The first thing I said today when I sat down in Nathan's basement was, hey, you have a really pretty rock bottom. And Brian goes, shut up, dude. I was like, what? It's a really pretty rock bottom.
It is really pretty. Charles Foster III painted that.
Yeah,
and he painted my replacement one because I was complaining for so long about it being stolen from me. So now I have 2 beautifully painted rock bottoms that are going to go in the same list someday.
I vividly recall us previously talking about the fact that I had your rock
you
bottom.
drink a lot. So.
No, you didn't. You never mentioned the rock bottom.
Like a year and a half ago.
I would remember that at least.
Yeah. This is like Jeremy remembering.
Yeah.
Talked about it.
I thought about saying it once.
Hi, everybody.
I think I was like, I have your rock bottom while you were walking away sometime.
Yeah.
Possibly.
You whispered it.
All right, so welcome to Crippled System, episode 130. I am Andy.
This is Keith.
My name's Nathan.
This is Ben.
Jim.
Brian.
Winner.
Yay.
So anyway, I like to type fuck a lot on my phone. And so I got the swipe I do. I swipe and it goes duck. So I swipe and I hit the autocorrect. I swipe and autocorrect. Swipe and autocorrect. Because fuck at least shows up as an autocorrect option. Because it knows you mean fuck. So swipe boom, swipe boom, swipe boom, swipe boom. And I've been doing that for like 2 years.
I usually just say duck it.
I wanted to say fuck, so I swipe and then correct. So like 3 days ago, I swipe and correct, and as my finger's hitting it, I realized it actually did fuck. This time, it actually believed that I wanted fuck, but by the time I realized it, I hit it and auto-corrected it to duck. And now so now for the rest of the time, it's like, well, I guess he meant duck, and it's never going to do it again. I missed my one time.
I love that Apple autocorrect. You can type a word 35 times.
Yeah.
And on the 36th time, it's going to be like, you don't type that word a lot. Fuck you. That's going to say Netherlands. Oh, okay, Netherlands then. I just go with it.
Yeah, the Apple autocorrect is not
might be
bad.
losing
It's not
some
good at
frames
picking
here.
up new stuff.
You might what now?
You might be losing some frames. I just hit BattleNet.
Oh, the big one for me is that the word something always gets corrected to sunsetting.
Sunsetting.
Sunsetting
I
every
just go
goddamn
with
time.
It now I got tired of it, so I just go with whatever it says.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fine.
Then you look like you're having a stroke, but duck it.
Duck it.
Like Brian is
Duck
texting
it.
you from his pocket.
Yeah, duck it. Let's go see a movie at 8 I planned for in gibberish.
Yes.
Pocket texting is the best.
Yeah, but if your pocket text vividly says, let's meet for a movie at 8, I think you have to see a movie at 8.
Like, I guess I'm going.
The phone is an oracle.
I
Must do what it
pocket
says.
dialed Pegasus about 75 times from work. They're probably so sick of me. Fucking Siri. I got it locked so it won't pocket dial. Siri's like, calling Pegasus. Calling Cousin Ed. You know, calling Keith. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
I've gotten at least 2 or 3 pocket calls from Jim.
I figured it out. You can turn it off.
Your phone also sounds like every time you shut it off, it sounds like a picture is being taken.
Yeah, it does. I'm probably taking pictures every time.
That's just your excuse. Like, I'm just shutting my phone off underneath your skirt,
under
ma'am.
Your skirt. Man, just make that noise.
You know.
A guy's got to have hobbies.
My phone pocket reboots. Like, I'll put my phone in my pocket, and like 3 seconds later, I feel it vibrating, I pull it out, and it's shutting down. And I'm like, you son of a bitch!
My phone pocket runs out of battery in an hour and a half, and it's an HTC One, so you can't replace the battery.
It's built into it.
I took it to a repair. It's like an iPhone, except iPhone batteries can be replaced by Apple. But I took this to like an accredited cell phone repair shop, and they're like, we have never taken one of those apart without cracking the case and the screen. And I was like, awesome.
Fuck you.
Thanks, HTC.
What brand is that?
HTC.
It's HTC.
I've always had good luck in the
It's
past.
a smaller version of my phone.
Oh, that's a tablet, Ben.
It's the One Max.
My laptop is a smaller version of that phone.
Like this laptop I carry around in my pocket is my phone.
Yeah.
So
That's
now
what
it just
that
sits
was.
plugged
I
into
need a
my
bigger
computer
phone.
being my internet connection.
That happens with them lithium batteries. I got a brand new truck and one of the cells in my... I don't know if it's lithium, but one of the cells in my truck battery died right away.
So, Keith, are you just visiting
At the moment, yeah.
at the moment? Okay. All right.
I may show up
So-
every once in a while.
Yeah, somebody
He's-
was asking if you're an official crippled system.
Well, we were short on people, so we accidentally over-invited.
We were short on people, so now we have too many people, and it's a train wreck.
Alternate Sundays seems probable.
Yeah?
I just go with some days.
Some days.
Some days.
Sunsetting days.
Sunsetting days.
Sunsetting days. Announcements!
Attach!
Is there anything?
This Saturday.
weekend is the final six-pack event with 1,000 prizes. We're almost to the point where if you show up, you're almost guaranteed a prize. Almost.
I'll come to one of these 6-packs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
place not very well.
You could maybe win the what could be winnable?
Convergence.
You won't place well in the over.
No, but I mean, he could. I think. Well, what factions really? I'm not sure. Maybe
Convergence
nothing,
might be.
but, no, Nathan has a lockdown. He has to play
Oh,
the game.
you have a
Not by much.
I have at least 6 wins.
What's the
So
other-
even if you show up and win all 5, I still have most convergence wins.
Yeah.
Convergence, Mercenaries, Cricks.
Mercenaries. Josh has played in every event, so he just
Signar.
has enough.
But does he have 6 wins total?
Yeah,
Oh, that's it's
He does. He's placed halfway decent. for most
Minions
of
would be
them.
the closest possible. I think even. But, yeah.
No,
No,
because
Rick's got that, though.
Rick had like a 4-1 and a couple 3-2s. Like Rick has played surprisingly well with his minions.
Rick played. Rick won some games. We're all shocked.
Well, minions are sometimes very difficult to win.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. That's also part of it.
And then sometimes you get a good matchup and steamroll the person, and they're like, "What the fuck happened? That was minions."
The start time is early. Dice are rolling by 9 a.m. Because we're gonna have a lot of
That
prizes to
doesn't
give
even
out.
exist as early on my radar anymore.
To me, that'd be kind of cool. That was always what it is. But
I tried to do 9 o'clock today, and everybody bitched and moaned about it.
My sleep
I wake
schedule,
up at
9 a.m. on
5:50 in the
Sunday.
morning.
my sleep
Are you
schedule
not a
right
good
now.
Christian?
My sleep schedule right now is fixed around making sure that my wife gets a full night's sleep. So I'm up until like 5 or 6 in the morning with the baby. And then when she gets up for work, then I go to bed.
because you're still jobless, right? You're just a homeless person taking care of the
I'm a
child.
full-time dad.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not jobless. That's the
Stay-at-home
most
dad,
noble
that's
of
the most
jobs.
important
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means I am a part-time Diablo player.
Yeah.
We all believe you're a bum. I've
Maybe when is
I
the
played
season
against
end?
Keith, and it's like, wow, he's way better at me than War Machine. I'll catch up, and then I was like, no, I have a job. I will not catch up. Oh wow,
I don't play that much War Machine.
When does this Diablo
you're much
season
much
end?
better than me at it.
It's not.
Months.
It's not known. They said it would be at least 3 months, and I think we're like a month and a half in.
We're a month-ish. I mean,
I
Yeah.
can't believe you.
So it's too late for me.
You could get, you could get a level 70 in 15 minutes. You
Didn't
can
it
get
launch
level
5
70.
years ago?
All right, maybe I'll do something.
It launched, like 20.
At the
20
end of,
Yeah,
at the end of
it
August.
got
It came
fixed
out
a year
for you guys.
ago.
Oh.
It got
It's
fixed a
actually
year
fun
ago,
now.
and then it got even more fixed this season.
I
It-
was like, why are all these
No,
people
yeah.
playing Diablo 3? I'm fucking bad.
The expansion was basically a 2.0 that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, they fixed it with Reaper of Souls, and then they personally felt like they semi-broke it again when they first introduced the Greater Rift system, but they've since, with the seasons, started to fix it.
Yeah.
Because now you start over every season, so you have a new reason to come in and play rather than just like jerking off on your tunes that are all, like near perfect. Because that gets really boring, playing on a tune that you have almost no reason to play.
Yeah, we stopped playing Borderlands for that reason.
Yeah. So every season that comes out, you're like, start again, boom, and then there's this really cool like rush to it, and you pick a new class, and they release new sets, so there's a whole new play style, and yeah, it's like getting
That
to
is
play
a
the
great
game.
idea.
And now that the game has been with the introduction of Adventure Mode, which came in at 2.0, you don't have to play their terrible fucking story ever again.
You just do chapters when.
So I never have to hear. Well, the only shitty thing I have to hear is Tyrael's stupid comment. My stomach feels strange.
Hey, Tyrael ate too much.
And I'm like, ah! I just want to kill whoever. I want to kill.
I played
whoever did that.
hundreds or thousands of hours or whatever of Diablo 2.
Yep.
I never played through the story. I just got rushed through it every time.
Yeah.
The story in Diablos 1 and 2 are quite good in that they are very minimalist. They were just like frameworks
Yeah,
to take you through the
go
murdering.
Fight this guy.
And so in your head, you can fill it in a lot better than apparently the Diablo writers are capable of.
Yep.
Because you get into Diablo 3 and all the villains are just like mustache twirling retarded assholes and
terrible at it. Like, they're
Yeah.
all idiots.
well, actually, no. This is something that Marshall and I realized on our most recent playthrough.
okay, Belial is a terrible villain.
He is.
Blizzard's got terrible writers.
The frustrating thing about Act 3 is because I was originally like, man, Asmodan is the dumbest because he just comes in, he's like, here's my plan, you can't beat it. And then we played through it again, and he's like, wait, no, he comes in and says that after his plans have worked, you just win because he's like, rah, 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 like, I've taken the walls. There's nothing you can do. And you go out on the walls, and it's pure demons. Like, they've taken the walls. The keep should fall, but because reasons it doesn't. And then he's like, rah, 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 I've got a demon in the larder, and you have no food anymore. And you go down there, and sure enough, there's a fart demon that shat all over your food, and you have no food left. But everybody doesn't die because reasons. And then you just like run through this field of him winning everything and go punch him in the nuts and win because of reasons. It's the dumbest act ever. And the only reasonable assumption you can make...
2.0 made him a super fucking easy boss.
Did?
Because, you know, when you fight him now, there's like a chain circle around you, and occasionally outside the circle, it like looks like black goo, but you're like, okay, I can't go there anyway, so why is it... Like... You can't go there, and sometimes it turns to lava that would hurt if you stood on it, but you can't go there anywhere, so what's the point?
And it comes out of the chains a little bit.
Maybe a little. In the original version, that shit started wherever you were standing, and so you're running around, and it's just expanding, and you were just, like, chased around, just, like, screaming and desperately trying to avoid this stuff, and it would corner you, and then it would just be spreading more, and you're like, fuck!
That's like a WoW boss. That's like the one that spews vomit, and then you have to go soak it up or you die.
Yeah.
Putricide.
Yeah, so he originally was that, which made you move around and avoid that shit. Yeah, he was a hard fight originally, but then now they literally took his most devastating attack away, so you just stand there and punch him in the nuts for 30 seconds and he dies.
Yep. Or you get the Nagel ring, which summons those little bile thrall guys.
Yeah.
And then they just immediately run to him and he just dies.
Yeah.
Because that's my experience through the gameplay. I got that at level 9, and I had those things forever. It scales with your weapon,
so
whatever your weapon damage, and those things just murdered everything for me. It was so fun.
Until you get to like Torment 4.
I haven't been that far yet.
Watching a bile thrall explode is the moment I bought War Machine. It really is.
So the two announcements are play Diablo and come to the 6-pack.
Yep.
All right, what's the next topic?
Ben, do you have an announcement?
Announcements. That's the thing I should have put.
Announcements.
Okay.
Announcements.
Mary Mayhem.
Oh yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
So
that's in December, though, right?
Yeah, it's in December 12th.
It's our big charity. It's our big charity event.
We're gonna host it at Pegasus. So.
Oh
yeah. Hey. Yeah, we're gonna host that thing at Pegasus. It's Mary Mayhem. December 12th.
3 months now.
Yeah.
2.5.
I'm not exactly sure what game systems are being played yet.
It's Toys for Tots, right?
Yeah, Toys for Tots. We'll see if we can get some decent cash for Toys for Tots.
The other thing I should mention as far as announcements, too, before I forget, so you get that coming on. You said Pegasus?
Yeah, it's at Pegasus. Cool. It downsized this year because of
we split
some Warhammer
technical difficulties.
issues.
Fuck it. Nobody says you can't play fantasy. You're not playing at a Games Workshop store. You don't have to dance their retarded dance.
That's true. But there's enough movement away from fantasy in the Midwest fantasy community. Now a lot of people are jumping ship to Infinity. Okay. A lot of people are jumping ship to Malifaux. Kings of War, War Machine.
Kings of War is so smart.
That same community that brought together 40, 50 people last year, this year is, for a one-day event, this year is, I'll be lucky if I see 10 or 15 or 20.
And same, if they'd all jumped ship to the same thing, you could just say, to hell with it, Merry Mayhem, it's a Kings of War event. But if they split to 4 different things, that makes it harder.
Yeah, I think the model for the guys that have been all running these big 100-plus player 2-day events is now to transition them now into convention-like games. So like Wapaka, what was the biggest Warhammer event in the Midwest or in Wisconsin, is now there's an Infinity tournament. They're talking about a War Machine tournament. There is an Age of Sigmar tournament. There's an 8th Ed tournament. There's a I think they're doing some stuff with Kings of War there. There's just it's now
so
5 different game systems. You're just showing up, and it's more like
just
a
like
convention.
Any other convention.
Yeah, we're trying to. I've been kind of talking with Rogers on that about something for War Machine, but they have an odd setup for it. They want to have like the actual tournament going from like 10 o'clock until like 5, and then open gaming after that, which is difficult to do for a War Machine tournament because we're always you run the tournament until there's one final undefeated person. and that can usually run a pretty long time. Depends on how many people you have.
Yeah, you don't just stop because
Yeah.
time to
Yeah, I
stop.
mean, yeah. And you can do it that way. Like, you could just say, we're playing for 3 rounds, even if 64 people show up.
About the only
but then
thing
it's
we
just random who got first.
A lot of you guys never played Magic tournaments, did you? You'd play 7 rounds of a Magic tournament, and then it'd cut the top 8, and to win, you'd have to play 3 more rounds.
Well, I
You'd
mean,
be there until 11 or midnight, and you'd start earlier than we start.
we could do. I mean, one thing we could do for that too
Not if
is
you're
we
bad.
could.
Yeah, I mean, if you're bad or unlucky, then it only takes 2 hours and you're done.
There's
Also,
something
I mean, the rounds are speedier in Magic, right?
They're like an hour still.
Yeah. So
And then
half
there's time in
as long,
between,
but
right.
still a lot.
Yeah,
and if you're
it's a
playing
lot.
like 5, you said 7 rounds before cut. So
Yeah, a lot of times.
10 rounds is like a 5-round War Machine tournament, which
Yeah.
those drag.
Yep.
I mean, I've certainly played 5-round War Machine tournaments, and by the end, you're just like, and I've played 6-round War Machine tournaments, and those are.
And the game is competitive and douchier, and it's the drain.
Yeah.
There was in the discussion thread in one of the forums, they were talking about a guy that got to the finals in a Magic tournament with a deck that couldn't win. Because he just had, it had 80% of, a 10-card combo. And so he'd start playing the cards, and I'll do this, and I'll tap this, and this gets mana, and then I'll play this guy who summons this guy, and then I get to dig through my discard pile, and the people go, all right, I know what you're doing, I scoop. And he didn't actually have the combo, but people kept just conceding because the combo takes 17 minutes to bother to go through all the fucking cards, so people just scoop and say whatever. And so it wasn't until the finals when the person had no reason to scoop that he actually got called on it.
that
Okay, I'll watch.
Yeah, the guy's like, well, go ahead and crack a
seems
beer.
like a nice road to second place there.
I thought you have don't you have access to deck lists? Can't you see your opponent's deck lists? in the
I don't
tournament?
think so.
No.
Okay.
Might now in some of the more advanced
But if you're
tournaments or
playing,
so.
if you're playing with, well, I don't know, because even with side,
He'd summon a couple of little dudes, and he'd smash them in, and he'd smash them in, and he'd keep holding mana open, and people would sit and play around his counter spells, and they'd play cards in the reverse order of what they wanted.
Yeah.
And they'd get their cards down. And then he'd go again, and he'd have his little guys, and he'd smash them in, and he'd smash them in, and then the person would do it again, playing around his counter spells. He's playing blue, he had mana open, he was ready.
right?
to
So
counter.
obviously anything they try to do is going to get countered.
Right, so they're playing everything in the reverse order inefficiently. He had one counter spell in the deck, and it was a terrible piece of shit that would only work if you had all your mana tapped. And they always kept playing their most important card last.
Yeah.
He'd be like, pay one more, and they'd get countered. Every turn, he had no real counter spells in the whole deck. He won the whole fucking Pro Tour. $60,000.
Yeah, to just mess with people's
And
heads.
it never won another tournament again.
So
People tried that deck. They're like, man, it won the Pro Tour. It must be good. And they couldn't get past 2 wins.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's
unbelievable.
also it's a problem with net decking, because that's the other thing is I've seen they're talking
Now
about,
they know you're last. Nobody knew he didn't have counter spells.
well, when people they'll net deck a combo and they have no idea how it works. They're like, I have these 4 cards, and I know when you have these 4 cards you win. And the guy's like, all right, so do it. And they're like, I literally do not know how.
Another event coming up is Gameholecon in November.
Yep.
Pre-registration ends, I think, the 15th of October or the 14th of October.
yeah, it sounds very.
So if
very-
you want to register and save some money, and Rick is giving away like an army for one of the events and just a ton of prizes. It's trying to be a con level. I think he can hold 32 or so for the event. It's the week before War Machine Weekend.
Oh.
So if
right.
you want to get some last minute practice in, just go to GameholeCon.com. It's one of the places you have to buy a badge for the day or for the weekend, and then you got to buy your tickets for the event.
Is that like the? Did that used to be a vendors con here in Madison?
No,
It's
no,
down in Rockford area.
It's,
Oh,
And
okay.
and the
That was
thing is,
RockCon,
you have-
is what you're talking about.
it's ridiculously awesome for a con. Because you've never talked about it. It's actually when you go to a Wisconsin con, usually like, oh crap, this is just morons in a room doing shit. And this guy is very organized. He's been on our podcast multiple times. We were there last time.
My favorite thing about it is his requirement for any celebs that go there is they have to play games with people. Like, if you come to Gameholecon and
Like William Shatner. or
yeah,
something.
like if Shatner shows up, Shatner has to play some D&D with some people, or he has to play the Star Trek board game with people.
Well,
He
well,
has to interact with people.
Ed Greenwin is running Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
I mean, when the creator of mega things is running games, I mean,
Yeah, they don't
really
get to
cool.
just show up for an hour for an autograph line and then leave. They have to actually interact with people playing games, running games, which
So
is
they
really
see
cool.
less people probably, but the people who do get to spend time with
Well,
them.
there's still
do
your
the
seminars. There's
Yeah.
still
Okay.
that, but also they're doing other things.
Yeah.
That's probably more fun for them too.
Yeah, like so,
Yeah,
they're
more
talking
fun
about
for
exciting.
And we're podcasting. We're going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just podcasting. There's a War Machine events going on. We'll be.
I will check my schedule. I should probably be able to get.
We have microphones, and
I'm-
there'll be famous people. So fingers crossed, we can kidnap some of them.
I'm
Well,
doing
we'll
bolt
have
action
access to
stuff.
them.
So
Cool.
What's up?
and I'm doing bolt action stuff. So if
Oh.
you're into the World War II historicals,
Yeah, so definitely. But you want to by the 15th of October, you want to register the next week. It also helps. I mean, you can show up the day of, but a lot of times, like they're going to be getting, and especially next year, they're going to be getting some more direct privateer press support as well. So, and they can also look at price support. Sometimes they judge price support off the pre-reg. So if you go in pre-reg, and there may be more prizes may start showing up if you pre-reg. So if you think you're going to go, just sign up ahead of time, because it makes it easier for the.
Will
gifts.
it always fall that close to War Machine Weekend?
Yes.
That's
when
an
is
issue.
War
Well, last
Machine
It
weekend,
sometimes might fall closer, like last year when it was the same weekend.
Yeah,
No,
the
two
11th.
2 years.
Oh, 2 years
11th
ago.
of November, right? I should put in.
It's like
vacation
the
time.
second,
It's not
third, fourth.
vacation
It's
time.
like
the
the
first week-
It's
the
like
first-
the 4th, and War Machine
Oh.
Weekend's like the 11th.
It's like the 6th, 7th
or
day
whatever.
or something. It's
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
full weekend. Because the first is a
the War
Sunday.
Machine Weekend is or
It's two.
Gameholecon?
Gameholecon's the second one.
Gameholecon.
No, the
got
other way
like-
around. Gameholecon,
I got like
then War
48
Machine
hours.
Weekend.
Yeah,
So-
Gameholecon is weekend one. War Machine Weekend is
vacation.
Gamehole two.
Yeah, I really wanted to try to see if we can try to get Gameholecon as being a almost like a last minute qualifier. But it turns out, I guess the points they couldn't get it configured out correctly.
I have an early recommendation. Sometimes you just need to open a window.
You just shit your pants.
No, it's really hot in here.
No, we were just in a basement that was much hotter than this.
Okay, well, I'm hot because I sat in a hot basement all day.
Fair enough.
I will recommend to close the window in like 5 minutes, but for
That's
now,
okay. That's a good recommendation.
all right.
All right.
Hi.
Everybody learned something.
Sorry, I was just saying hi.
I thought you just shit your pants.
So that's
So
announcements.
somebody was just telling me that there was
No.
something wrong with the color on our camera,
Yeah.
the webcam, because Keith's shirt is black.
It's
Oh.
purple. You're seeing it wrong.
We're not in an event.
Yeah,
Maybe if you'd worn purple, you would have won today.
You know,
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't?
he
Its
was
power is
you-
specific.
You were at an insane disadvantage. We all played 3 turns and knew exactly what we wanted to do early in the game. If you mess up on the first turn, it's going to nibble at you the rest of the game.
Any momentum building economy game,
Yeah,
war
it's
game,
just gonna
you know.
nibble, but I mean that's a severe disadvantage.
What game were you guys playing?
We played Age of Renaissance, which is a
I
Board
saw
game
you,
topic or it's on board games. We're talking about board games
saw
for
you guys
7 hours.
started at like 3 o'clock. So you guys played like
No,
a
we
couple
started-
turns
we
first.
started
We
at-
started at 10 a.m.
We played 2-hour practice.
5 people were there at 10. Somebody
And then-
has a kid.
and then
So
at
5 of us were there at 10 and
quarter
played
to
like a
1.
2-hour practice game, and
Sure.
then at like 12:30ish,
Like,
quarter
you-
to
if you
1 after
start,
teaching, we started.
screaming, "God damn it, Keith! You better get here!" He shows up.
Yes, that was hilarious timing.
It works. It works.
Just when
great.
you couldn't stand it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, guys.
He's like Beetlejuice. I think we said it 3 times, and then he walked.
But we went through it pretty quickly with like, you know, I'm rusty. Well, the thing is, like,
we
we
could have
played
went a lot faster.
we
were
played a
bullshitting
full
the whole
3 epoch
and
game,
People were thinking
fairly
about a game you
casual.
can't think
Yeah,
at.
we
It
played
could
the
have been
full
an hour
game
quicker.
fairly casually in under 6 hours, and it could get down to 4 and change, which is pretty impressive.
To be fair, there was so much I can't win talk that it feels like it lasted 4 times as long.
That is true.
And it's such a.
That is such a big part of my game.
It's a big part of, and I'm not. I have been guilty of it. I do feel I'm trying to be more subconscious of it, and I feel I'm most guilty of it like the first turn.
On the last turn, 6 people said they couldn't win.
Yeah. Well, John
Of
knew
6.
of the 6. We were confident one of them couldn't. But
My brother's in the chat, and my brother's an asshole.
okay, good.
But I'm on
No.
mute apparently because I'm on mute because his son's with him. Although my brother has like a 13-year-old son and like an 11-year-old daughter, and he
They
asked me.
heard it.
He texted me. He
It's
watched
time.
He watched Me Seeks and Destroy, and then he texted me. He was like, "Yeah, so you think that Connor and Samantha could watch Rick and Morty?" I'm like,
Really?
Yeah, go for it. Whatever."
I'm pretty sure I watched Rambo when I was like 6 or 7.
Conan story.
I watched Conan when I was
Right.
like 6.
I watched a lot of horror movies when I was very young.
I don't think
very good
sheltering
motivational
kids
posters.
from that stuff makes any difference.
I saw Alien when I was like 5, and I don't think I slept for a month.
My babysitter had Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street on when I was like 4 or 5 or 6 there, and that was not a good one.
Yeah,
Poltergeist 2. Poltergeist 2 story.
No.
Fuck.
Let me in.
No, so my Poltergeist 2 story, I'm
Oh.
putting horror movies here down, because we can talk about horror movies for a while, because they're fucking awesome.
We're gonna come back to board games
So
later.
I was...
we just started talking about board games.
Board games 2. Hey, you like horror movies, and
I
then board
do.
games is after it. Look,
There's
board games
horror
right
movie
there.
board games.
I'm making assumptions that we will talk about board games next. That's
There's
a
a Friday the
promise.
13th.
That's a promise. Anyway, Poltergeist 2, there's a scene in Poltergeist 2 where the guy drinks tequila and he swallows the worm.
Yep.
And then the worm grows to human size and crawls out of his fucking mouth, and it's terrifying. When I was like
That is disgusting.
8, I was channel surfing, and I saw just that 2 minutes of that movie. So, and Adam can back me up on this, for literally until high school, so for like 6 years, I would strain my orange juice through a sieve because I could not drink pulp because I was so weirded the fuck out by seeing that guy in Poltergeist 2.
I thought you were going to say Poltergeist 3 when you killed the
Not,
little girl.
like, even like pulp free, like not the heavy pulp stuff. Like I couldn't have the teeny
little
tiny
tiny
pulp. Like
thing of
no,
it,
fuck it. I threw a strain. I had to
could
drink
see
orange
To be
juice.
fair, pulp
My,
is gross.
my ma cannot
it
watch
is.
Jeff Goldblum to this day because of The Fly.
Sure.
And his face.
You're right. Well, yeah. Well, because she liked it better in The Fly.
Yeah. God.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I watched-
Those are some good stuff.
I think, like, The Exorcist I watched way too fucking young. That movie freaked me out way too young. And then I just, like, my childhood hero was Jason Voorhees. I watched all the Friday 13th. I thought he was my role model. I was like,
He's great.
I can look up to him. Like, people were mean. You could kill them. They do bad things. He kills them. He was a good guy.
Well, and it's funny because he didn't even just see Conan. He saw until Conan standing at the top of the stairs holding Thulsa Doom's severed head and roaring, and then his dad turned it off right then.
Yeah.
Like the next 5 minutes are calm and eased down, and there's candles and relaxation. And he didn't get that unwind. He just got go to bed.
No.
Or he throws him down the stairs.
I got to see the whole head rolling down the stairs, and then for the next 2 weeks, every time I closed my eyes to try to go to sleep, I saw rolling heads downstairs.
You didn't get calm unwinding.
Well, there's not really that much
There's a
calm
little.
and
They all
unwinding.
throw their torches in the water and walk home, and he relaxes with the king's daughter, and then...
I, being quite a bit younger, was initially scared by Jurassic Park.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
My mom was like, I want to go see that movie. And like 4-year-old Keith got brought along or whatever it was.
that I can see.
And then we spent half the movie with me hiding back by where like the trash cans are. And mom was just standing like looking around the corner because she still wanted to see the movie and wouldn't just leave.
I forgot
I
about
had
this.
that exact same experience with Brian.
Just you didn't want to see Brian.
Can we go?
That was Transformers 2. I was hiding behind the garbage can, and Brian's like, "No, we're not leaving, Jim."
It might get better.
It did not.
Spoiler.
I forgot about. I loved Goonies.
Oh, it's
But
good.
like we'd watch it on TV
That
on
was scary when
VHS.
you were a kid, too.
Just the scene when Chunk first meets Sloth and like sees him from behind and he's roaring and everything. Like Chunk or Sloth later, I'm okay with. You know when he's friendly, but just when
Hey, you guys.
and even knowing, like having seen the movie a dozen times, I know he becomes nice. But that shot, I would leave the room for that like 45 seconds and then come back afterwards because it scared me.
The
Was
scene
that
where
intro.
they're trying to get water too. That was freaky, wasn't it?
I don't remember him.
Isn't that the kids are trying, and the woman's like, "Here, drink it."
Oh yeah. Well, they're.
Like,
they're scary.
They're scary.
Yeah, but that was like whatever. They're scary people. But just that first shot of Sloth when he's chained up and turns and roars. Even though I knew Sloth turned out to be nice, I couldn't watch that.
I couldn't sleep with my lights off for a long time because of Gremlins.
Sure.
Because they would never show up when the lights were on, so I would like have the lights on. I would also leap from my bed because I figured they could grab me.
Yeah. I wasn't that way with bed, but I avoided parked cars at night because monsters lived underneath and would reach out and grab your ankles.
Oh.
Well, Gremlins was a pretty creepy movie for the rating it got, too. It was like a pretty intense.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
mean-
Oh,
Well, they marked it. They're like, oh, it's a kid's film. Yeah, it's Christmas.
I saw that.
Look how cute Gizmo is.
Yay, Gizmo.
And murdering people.
yeah. There's a lot of horrible things in that, especially the Santa story.
What I read, someone posted the whole like how they changed that Gremlins were because Gizmo was supposed
Gizmo was
to
going to turn into Stripe. There was no Gizmo for the rest of the movie. He turned into the villain and just fuck you, kids.
Yeah.
Like it was the original script. Yeah, that was the original script, and they're like, well, we want to sell dolls after this, so we
Yeah.
need him to stay cute. And so
we
he
need
just,
one cute one.
yeah. Originally, it was just he turned into Stripe and just wanted to murder the kid. Like there was no
Which
nice.
is still pretty creepy.
Yeah.
The mental damage of childhood.
movie.
And Poltergeist is rated PG. I know that because when I worked at a video store, I can only play PG movies. So I found all the most ridiculous PG horror movies and play them. Like, it's PG, boss. I can play it.
Well, there used to not be a PG-13,
Yeah.
and they had to invent it for stuff like that.
Yeah.
As Tau Beast mentions, I'm sure it has caused a massive explosion in clownophobia.
Yeah, which people are scared of clowns anyway.
Yeah,
Like, that's a common phobia. And
Yes.
they're like, well, fuck it.
Stephen King is like, what's scary as hell? Clowns.
Two of the most common
In
phobias
Maine.
are Stephen King. Or it's not Stephen King.
Oh, mediocre writing on a massive scale.
Oh, you're slightly
He's got
better
some
than
good
Dean
ones.
Koontz. Why are you so much more popular? He's not that much worse.
Hey, hey. Stephen King's much better than Dean Arcoots. I'm just saying there's a bigger level there.
I don't care for all this stuff, but he's
Watchers
got
is a good
stuff.
I'm not Dean Arcoots has some decent stuff, but
Are you calling him DNR Koontz?
Dean R. Koontz. The R, like he used R for a long time.
DNR.
Yeah.
He's a whole department.
Yeah, the Department of Natural Resources, Koontz. No, the two common phobias are
I
clowns
almost had
and Tim
barbecue
Curry.
today.
Tim Curry?
Tim Curry. He's scary. Have you seen Legend?
well, look at him now. Now he's kind of
Or
sad.
the worst witch. He's that's
Tim
mean.
Curry?
What? No, he's had a stroke. He looks. You see,
He's
you're
like sad.
You're like, oh, mortality.
He was
Wadsworth.
like the funny.
Who's Wadsworth?
He's the butler in
The butler in
Clue.
Clue. He plays the clown in It.
Now just walk in.
Or the funny.
You guys lost me. I've
the
never
funny
seen any of
hotel
that.
manager in Home Alone 2, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one, and I haven't seen any of the other
Or
ones.
he
Arthur
plays
in
Satan.
Spamalot?
He plays Satan in Legend.
Tim Curry's awesome.
He is awesome.
In Legend.
Legend is fucking amazing. With
Is it I Am Legend?
no, just Legend, where you have Tom Cruise and some lady trying to rescue a unicorn from Satan Tim Curry.
What?
What?
Yeah, have you not seen Legend? And Tim Curry looks fucking amazing. I'm gonna
Put down movies.
No, it is.
Movies.
It probably
I'm gonna
is.
find a
Yeah.
picture of him.
Yeah,
in,
see, right there. I showed him that one.
Oh, Tim,
So-
you've not aged very well.
He had a stroke.
He had a stroke.
Last year he had a stroke. You're laughing at his stroke.
All people died.
My comment turned out to be meaner than I thought it was.
But that's
Guess
him
who
in
doesn't have a
Legend.
soul?
So
Yeah.
imagine that
There's
devil with
non-stroke
Tim
Tim Curry.
Curry's velvety, amazing
I've
voice.
seen him
Yeah.
and stuff.
It's actually he's that.
Like in
I've
that.
seen him.
The
and
special
stuff. I
effects
don't
for that is
recognize
probably one of the best makeup effects that's
Shockingly good.
of all time. I mean, it's really good.
him. Better than the Warriors.
From 1985.
No, the Warriors is oh my god, that was
There's a lot of shit coming back out into theaters coming up soon. The Warriors is coming back
What?
out. Wasn't that what you put on my wall? Like the Warriors Legend or like for
We
its
watched the
anniversary?
Warriors down in his home theater,
You know the
Yeah.
thing with the
Let me
Warriors?
double check.
It's a
Somebody put it
pretty
on my
okay
Facebook.
movie.
which isn't actually a theater.
no, they had the reunion thing that was
Oh,
that
it's not
for
going
them.
to Iron
No.
Giant is coming back out to theaters.
Oh, cool.
Spoiler alert: he dies in the end.
Or does he?
I know. Wow, that's the next
Spoiler,
level.
Andy cries at the end.
What's Iron Giant?
It's his.
Come on, when he says
No,
Superman,
you know what it
It's
is.
his cartoon.
It's a Vin Diesel film.
Hog Hug. It is
haven't
Vin
seen
Diesel's
that.
best film. No,
I don't
you know
know.
what?
Pitch
No,
Black.
Pitch
no.
Black.
Pitch Black.
Now he's got Guardians of the Galaxy. I like Vin Diesel when he does voice work.
Pitch Black. is the
Fast
best
Five.
movie.
I don't know. It's pretty.
Pitch Black, Fast Five, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I just got done
others.
watching not Fast Five, but Pitch Black.
I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie.
Oh,
missing
you're
out on a
missing
lot.
What's
out.
wrong with
Start with
Zero
three.
of them.
Start with Tokyo Drift.
Yes, that
Do
was
not
pretty-
start with Tokyo.
That's the best. Oh
It's
yeah.
the best one. A
Tokyo
redneck
Drift.
drives cars through houses and he smashes them up in parking ramps. It is great.
If it wasn't for Tokyo Drift, the rest wouldn't even exist.
That's
that
true.
director took that series.
It's true.
to
Without
the-
Two is the worst.
yes,
Yes.
Three
Yeah.
is the
Tokyo
best.
Drift is really close to being
Tokyo
the
the
Drift.
worst.
best. The best.
It's the same. 3, 4, 5 are all the same director.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
same theme and style.
And actually, the most recent one I enjoyed the hell out of.
Yeah, dude, I like that one.
Furious
7.
7 was really good.
I think Tokyo Drift is definitely better than 6 or 7 or 1.
I think 5.
I watched about
Mayhem,
20
dude.
minutes. I watched about
It
20
should
minutes of
have been
Tokyo
called-
Drift.
So you haven't seen it all the way through?
He only
That
seen
many
20
of
minutes.
It
don't have
should have
to
been
see it all the
called
way through.
Fast and Furious Redneck Mayhem. Well, tell me you wouldn't go and see that movie.
When
You
he
get
learns
like somebody who's trying to sound like Brett Favre.
That's
throughout
how
the
that
entire
guy
movie.
sounds. He
Yeah.
is a legitimate hick.
yeah,
Tokyo Drift is Redneck Mayhem.
when he learns the drift, it's
If
the
you're
greatest
willing
thing
to
in the world.
watch an entire movie for one hot Asian chick.
I am actually.
Then you can suffer through Tokyo.
There are many films I've watched because of one hot Asian chick. Although I usually watch like 5-6 minutes of them.
Yeah, they're much less.
Take a nap.
Shorter.
Redneck Mayhem is amazing.
Yeah,
It's literally Redneck
We'll
Mayhem, the entire
marathon
movie.
some Fast and Furious movies in a week.
Yeah.
I have to bend this to horror movies.
And Vin
/
Diesel
Fast and
is in that
Furious.
movie, so that's definitely a good theme. He's in it. Vin Diesel's in 2 minutes.
And
of
a
that movie,
spoiler
so-
in the last movie, The Rock literally flexes himself out of a cast.
Yeah.
Like, that's just an amazing thing.
Yeah, my arm is broken, but
I got my
cast
leg out of a
explodes.
boot, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
was like
Yeah.
thinner.
People
than
were
my
cheering,
arm.
like stand up and cheering when that happened in the theater.
No, The Rock had some. He delivers some
boy.
spectacular, like crappy one-liners in that. They bring in Kurt Russell to deliver some
I
more
don't understand how
spectacular,
you can
crappy
like
one-liners.
that. You don't like Tokyo Drift. That movie is hilarious.
He hasn't seen all these, and he knows
but he hasn't seen all of it
That
though.
came
He
on
admitted
TV
only
in
20
the
minutes.
gym.
Okay, so there's been a couple of movies. We used to have an apartment, and downstairs in the apartment we had a 60-inch big screen TV.
Yeah.
Upstairs we had a 20-inch tube TV. Up on a pedestal above a fireplace, like
Far,
you could
far away.
barely see it.
Yep.
We watched 2 entire movies up there.
Yeah.
One was Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and the other one was Herbie Fully Loaded.
And those are both amazing experiences for very different reasons. Fully
Oh my
loaded.
God, 18-year-old Lindsay
But-
Lohan.
But didn't
Yeah.
you watch
Three
him
grown
downstairs?
men watched a Herbie movie
You
for
know-
2 hours
On a
on a
small-
TV the size of a freaking laptop.
You know what's hilarious as a pattern is the last time Jim was on this podcast, we had complaints over how much we talked about wanting to have sex with Lindsay Lohan.
Well, not anymore. I mean, currently
That was the complaint.
I
The
just
window has closed.
I take it down a notch. I think I get complained more
Yeah.
on this podcast than all you guys, and I only do 1 out of 20.
Yeah.
God almighty. I ain't that bad.
But no, Tokyo Drift, the Fast and the Furious movies work because the acting quality is just high enough that they know they're doing.
You're saying that Tokyo Drift, they did too good a job acting.
No.
Maybe I could buy that.
No. In Tokyo Drift, they weren't good enough to be in a bad movie.
See, Keith's the hater now that now
you
nobody
haven't
complain
seen
about
all of
me.
it, though.
Keith's the
It's
hater.
terrible.
You haven't seen all of it.
You saw like 20 minutes. You
Yeah,
said.
you
Well,
said
have you
20
seen the
minutes.
first-
let's just
20 minutes?
let's just marathon them all.
Which 20 minutes did you see?
I don't even remember. It was just,
See?
It wasn't
See?
the first 20 minutes?
It's just that.
So you couldn't get drawn in. That's the problem.
You can't when you start watching it just sucks you right in. We just sat down.
We literally got
They
sucked
wouldn't
into
even
that
walk
little tiny
downstairs
tube
to the
monitor.
60.
We
I
wouldn't have
know,
missed
that's what I'm
anything.
saying. It was so good that we wouldn't, even on a commercial break, go downstairs to the 60-inch
That's
TV.
probably the only reason we even went to the theater to see the fourth one. 'cause
It
we liked
is the
third-
only
yeah.
reason we went to the theater to see the fourth one. 100% true.
The Fast and the Furious fan whose opinions I respect the most also does not care for it, so I feel.
Who's
vindicated.
this?
Josh Maxson.
Man,
he's
that really
he's
hurts
wrong
right
in
here.
so many levels. Yeah.
Man.
You don't like a bunch of good movies, Jim. I'm sorry.
Josh
Like
has
what?
pretty. I've heard a lot of
Name
Josh.
one.
Josh has terrible opinions on
Name-
movies.
name one.
I'm
Name one.
arbitrating here. I want to hear what movies are
name
good
one.
that Jim doesn't like.
No Country for Old Men.
Oh my god, it's terrible. I just,
It's an objectively well-crafted movie.
objectively, yeah, objectively.
It's objectively
75% good.
a Cleveland steamer. Like, oh, I'm gonna get laid. Oh, nope, you shat on my chest. Okay, try again. Retry.
So my boss came to me one day and said, "I'm watching this amazing movie I rented called No Country for Old Men. It's amazing. I'm loving this film." I said, "Really?" Out of curiosity, and he's like, "I haven't seen all of it yet." I'm like, "That explains it. Where's the main character right now?" And he's like, "Well, they think he's dead, but he think he faked his death." And I'm like, "Okay, you go home, you watch the rest of this movie." He comes back the next day, he's like, "That movie was terrible. He was dead. What the fuck?"
Okay.
I don't hate it as much as they do, but man, fuck you,
That's-
bait and switch. Like,
That is not okay. Retry. Do one
Is
more.
the bad guy not just the main character in that movie?
but there's no ending even there. Like he just wanders off. Like
I
there's
had
no
a broken
closure. And I
arm.
understand.
I had a dream with an Indian, so I retired.
I understand that the movie's blue ball you. The main character gets bait and switch. There isn't an ending. Just okay, I guess the movie's over. Like
And try to read that guy's writing once. Punctuation, dude. Punctuation.
yeah, punctuation's
Okay.
a thing.
You get a retry though. One more terrible.
In
one more good
fairness, I'm going to call that one a tie because
Yep.
it is objectively a well-crafted film, but I agree with fuck you movie. So, that one's a tie.
Cinematography,
Getting all the foreplay just to
cinematography,
get shit on the chest.
Yeah.
I mean,
cinematography of that film is really good.
and the acting is amazing.
acting
you can't
is really
say
good.
objectively good movie. It's objectively well crafted.
That's what I
and
said.
I am granting that to you. You are correct. It's well crafted. They're correct that the
purpose-
movie can go fuck itself. So it's a tie.
What's
gotta
another
do one more.
Give us another
One more.
Josh movie. Another good movie.
Get one that I hate. I like that one.
What other movies do you dislike?
I don't remember.
Your premise was that he
Yeah,
had
and
made
you
a
can
good
only
movie.
come up
The
with
onus
one
is
shit.
on
That
you.
was- that
Kelly
one has
just
always
like
stuck out in my
X-Men
mind.
2, which I always think is
He does
ridiculous.
hate X-Men 2, which is
I
a
don't
terrible
hate
thing for
it.
him to
I
hate.
just don't think it's great. And I don't think.
mediocre
And
on
I thought
X-Men 2.
Inception was a piece of crap, and everyone disagreed with me. And not one person in this room has watched Inception in the last 5 years, probably.
I saw it in the theater, and I never watched it again. You are correct.
Well, I mean, I haven't watched like a lot
Well,
of
to
movies.
me, a movie is supposed to be entertaining, and if I'm entertained by a movie, I'm going to watch it like
$1 Million Baby, I would never watch again. I liked that, but that was way too
I
different.
have watched that again, and I
Well,
regretted
that's a
watching
different
it again.
category. There are
Which
movies
one?
that you know are
$1 Million
good, but they're
Baby.
so depressing you
Yeah.
never want to watch
Requiem
them.
for
Look,
a Dream.
I
yeah.
watch Schindler's List every week for upliftingness.
Requiem for a Dream. So
There Will Be Blood is my perfect example of an amazing movie that if I never see it again, will probably be
Yeah.
fine.
yeah,
But Inception is not that movie.
No, Inception was. I enjoyed watching it. The cinematography was obviously interesting. The premise was bizarre.
I like movies that entertain me.
I kind of like endings where there's an ending. Like I don't necessarily need. I don't. 9 times out of 10, I don't
don't
like
do everything.
choose your own ending.
Yeah.
It's like I'm watching. I'm going somewhere. Like life is a choose your own ending thing. I get that, but a movie, I want a beginning, middle, and end because I've paid to see a beginning, middle, and end. I've sort of like I want to see something.
I can't
When
think
that-
of an ambiguous end movie I like.
I can't suddenly think of it, but there's
Total Recall.
Total Recall is kind of I kind of
No,
like the Total
I got the
Recall.
I
perfect
didn't
one
even
of that.
realize it was an ambiguous ending because to me the pick was so obvious. I just thought it was the ending, and then somebody's like, "Well, actually, ambiguous." I'm like, "I guess so."
It is
Well,
ambiguous.
the other
It never occurred to me that it was ambiguous.
But that's an A or B ambiguous,
It
not
is.
like a what could this ever be possibly
Yeah.
weirdo.
What's
the
your-
biggest one is Birdman.
Inception is A or B.
Yeah, that's another.
That's the
Yeah.
exact same A or B that Total Recall is.
Yeah, it's okay. Inception was really boring. because they
Birdman's an A
intentionally
or
made
B,
it dreamlike,
Inception's
and it
A
was
or
really
B,
sleepy.
but I don't mind the Total Recall one. I thought that was just, but the way I think because
Is
of
it
the
A or
premise-
B?
I don't know. I'm even fine. Not I don't care.
I don't even care on that one because
Like,
it's
Birdman
Arnold
annoys
running
me.
around Mars, right?
Right.
Who cares what the ending was?
Yeah.
Birdman is a big example of that. That you
Yeah.
know,
I don't. Yeah, that's one where they got to the ambiguous ending. They're like, "You should think on that." And I was like, "No, I really don't care.
That's what I tell you.
Your ending doesn't mean shit to me. A, B, C, or D.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. It was a comet in the sky. Cool. Okay.
Haven't seen it.
It's a very that's another very film intriguing, very good music, good acting, but like
It's It's an
Everything
artsy
about
thingy.
everything about that film is amazingly well done, and I didn't like it.
and I have like
I didn't like
and I
it
have people
either.
who've seen it and they still don't know if they liked it, but they kind of it's like I don't know.
If you come out of a movie
didn't
and you're
dislike it. I
not
was
sure
like,
you
"Yeah,
like it or
alright."
not, it's probably not
with
very
Matthew
good.
McConaughey, I still don't know if I liked the space movie where they went space and there's
It's
like
Interstellar.
Interstellar. I still don't know if I liked Interstellar or not.
I have not seen
It
it.
was well made.
I still don't know if I like Pan's Labyrinth or not because we went to the weirdest
Pan's Labyrinth is
restaurant in the
amazing.
whole world after.
Yeah, it was a weird day. That
We
thing
went-
was so weird.
We went to Pan's Labyrinth.
That's another
which
A
is-
or B.
yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth is a weird movie.
Yes, it is.
And it
I
boggled
fucking
our
love it.
mind, and we're like, we're going to just go eat. And we went across the street to eat, and the menu of the place...
It's a new place we've never been to.
The menu of the place dropped a digit on its prices. And it's like, what is going on? I don't want to order something that costs $15.9. It makes no sense to me. And so we're like, okay, we don't understand this. We're just going to pick what we want to eat. I'm like, I think I'll have some nachos, and we'll split them. And they came out on potato chips.
Okay.
It was the weirdest day ever. I mean, it's hard to describe how
Maybe
weird
it was
felt.
still part of. Maybe we were still experiencing Pan's
I
Labyrinth.
mean,
right?
yeah, it was like the ambiguous ending continued. Yes. Like, what is your bill going to be? I don't know. What are your nachos going to be? I have no clue. It was a weird day.
We just like we have to go home now. We can't be out anymore in this world. It's this day has defeated
that
us.
day broke me, and I've never watched Pan's Labyrinth again. I just can't.
The first time I saw Pan's Labyrinth, I saw it in the theater, and I went with just I went with the wife of a friend just because he was like on a business trip, and she was saying, "Well, it's like if I went with Katie to something, whatever." She's a female, she's a friend of a friend. I mean, she was my friend too. They were just a couple, and we went and saw it and everything. And then like a year later, they divorced because she was cheating on him. So I don't know if I was on a date or not. Like I'm not sure if she was trying to have an affair with me or not.
well,
I can't think of the damn ambiguous movie that I think I like, but I try maybe not to put it well.
Daniel Day-Lewis movie that you liked?
No,
Bill or Ted?
there was an A or B movie.
It's Bill or Ted.
I don't know.
Last of the Mohicans.
There's a lot of horror. What?
Was he the last of the Mohicans? There could be other ones.
There's a lot of horror movies that kind of weird at the end. I don't usually like. I don't usually care.
How about Funny Games?
Oh my god! you like funny games, Keith?
I almost never like horror movies. I'm not.
Do you like things that are pretentious as fuck and terrible?
That movie probably tips the scale of pretension. That's probably
beyond pretentious.
If you were in a room,
ultimate example,
watching that movie with the writer of that movie, one
you would
person would
to death.
leave that room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the great Office line repurposed. If I was in a room with Hitler, Osama bin Laden, and the writer of that movie, and a gun with 2 bullets, I would shoot the writer twice.
You gotta be sure.
Yeah,
that guy.
There's a point. It's a horror movie. 2 villains. There's a point where the mom of the family wrestles a gun away from one of them and shoots the other one dead. So
after an hour and a half
You're
of
an
you're waiting
film.
for the build-up. You're just waiting.
It's kind of like that point in Descent where they get the pickaxe and they go.
So what happens next? The other killer grabs the remote control off of the television, hits the rewind button so the movie rewinds to before she got the shotgun, and then stops her from doing it.
Wait,
How
what?
the TV didn't get thrown is amazing.
I can't believe a brick didn't go through a TV. Yeah.
Like, before that, there was no indication that this movie was batshit insane, fourth wall breaking, nothing
You
makes
still
sense.
weren't really enjoying it that much.
No, it was still
It was
terrible.
pretentious and
It was
annoying.
still bad.
But you're like, I want to see one of the
and
bad
they
guys
died.
die.
You're like, yeah, that little fucking shitbag ate a shotgun.
Rewind!
Wow.
And then the movie ends?
No, then there's another half hour of terribleness, and then they win, and the 2 killers leave, and the end of the movie.
You go to the next. Yeah, it's so
It
bad.
doesn't sound pretentious. It just sounds pointless.
No, it's
the
with the
fourth
way-
wall break is because they fourth wall break more after that, and it's like, oh, you're trying because the movie is playing with the viewers, what the director says, because they're seeing like you as the viewer have all this expectation about horror, and if he breaks these expectations, he can jerk off all over your face.
So it
It's
becomes
like, fuck you.
it becomes pretentious rather than just awful because of the director has since been
Yeah,
like
the style
been like,
how it's
aren't
built
I
is still very
amazing?
pretentious.
Yeah.
Look how I blew your minds.
Yeah,
And you're
anytime
like,
a
Yeah,
director
no,
does that,
nobody-
I very rarely like those kind of movies.
Nobody's mind was blown. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
You should just crawl into a cave.
The only movie I really like of that kind was the one that correctly broke the assumptions about that kind of movie, which of course is You're Next.
Yeah.
Because You're Next is the creepy pupil in masks invading the house and killing the family, except they invaded the wrong fucking house because one of those people makes the kid from Home Alone look incompetent.
oh.
She's like a survivor. Her dad was a survivals and trains her how to like
Yeah,
deal
her
with it.
dad was like a survival freak or something.
Yeah. You're halfway through the movie and she just fucks one of them up with a meat tenderizer and you're like, oh, and she's like, here's what we're doing. And she starts boarding the house and they're like, oh my god, these bad guys are screwed.
She lays all these cool traps for him, and
Isn't there even like an inside man?
Oh yeah,
in that?
there's like 4 inside people, and it doesn't matter. They're fucked because this chick has her shit together. Like she's gonna put a blender through one of your faces. You're gonna step on spikes.
one of them jumped through a window right into like a huge spike trap.
well, she
right?
put a spike trap that was obvious, so he walked over it. And the hidden one.
There's a spike trap like 10 inches away from the window, so he's like, oh, spike trap. I'll step 6 inches away from the window onto the other spike trap.
I think horror
sounds
people.
enjoyable.
It's like more we see it more where in a horror movie. There's competent characters, and I
Descent is
think
enjoyable
yeah,
too,
because
yeah.
I think it's actually, if you could have a horror movie and have competent characters and make it enjoyable. Descent is a perfect.
That's it. A or B. You don't know in Descent.
Yeah,
In the English, it depends which.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
A or B, depending on which version of the movie you
Yeah,
watch.
that's
There's
true.
no question. What it is you randomize the DVD, and then you
That's
don't
A or
know
B.
till you get there.
Horror has become a more difficult genre to build in a doing a modern horror movie
Cell phones.
because cell phones are just like, why didn't you just like at some point you just call for help, or the amount of
Well,
things
the
that have to
Descent
go
makes sense.
wrong
They're
is
down in a
unbelievable.
And your
The
next
two
thing
things
is
you can-
jammers.
what
and
you have to-
Yeah,
Your next has jammers.
And they're way out in the woods.
Your next, the
I
villains
think.
have jammers, and then things like Descent or even Until Dawn or whatever. You just
Yeah.
put them in a fucking mountaintop where phones don't work anyway.
Sure.
But yes, it's
It
like,
just makes it's just another level of
Of,
disbelief
this is
that has to
stupid,
be
yeah,
suspended.
the suspension gets broke.
So there's a movie called Unfriended, which is all about the whole
Nigel went on a huge rant
But he
about
liked
this
it, I
movie.
thought.
He loved it, and I couldn't. I saw this is a point where
Nigel's wrong a lot.
He's
here's
wrong
the
a lot.
thing.
Holy shit.
Here's the thing: the movie looks awful. I mean, I saw the trailer. I'm like, that looks terrible. The reviews have been overwhelmingly pretty positive. And Nigel, he really enjoyed it. And I still haven't seen it.
So Nigel,
Half in the bag did not like it at all. But
Nigel is wrong a great deal, but he usually has interesting reasons for why he's wrong.
But I'm so confused. I want to see it because a highly rated horror movie. I always want to catch them. I mean, I watch the bad ones too. I watch all of them. But I'm like,
After hearing him talk about it for like half an hour, I was like, I'm still not going to watch it.
I will see it at some point.
But-
I'm too intrigued. It should be awful though. It
yeah,
looks awful.
I'm sure it is.
It looks terrible. The premise and the way the movie was constructed, they're like, that's
I
moderately.
mean, more
It's
horror
an
is gonna be
original-ish
more. Yeah.
comic. What I've heard is that it's an original concept and that it is decently executed and it isn't scary in the slightest.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the things that I have heard. And some people think that being original and decently executed makes you good even if you aren't scary.
Well, horror movies are rarely scary to an adult.
Yeah. I mean,
You're just gonna play on certain aspects to kind of make you kind of
Like some parts are freak out jump scary, like the one the creature pops up
Yeah.
behind
And
the
even
chick
jump
and
and I'm the
scary.
opposite. The horror movies that really get to me, the horror movies that are like, oh my god, and I'm squirming in the seat are the ones that don't have the jump scares. Like the two most. I mean, it's uncomfortable, but I mean it in a good way because the movie's trying to, make you uncomfortable. Were Orphanage and It Follows, and not a fucking thing happens in either of those.
Yeah, It Follows is a very.
There's nothing scary in either of those movies, and the whole movie's I'm like,
they're just creepy. Yeah,
Yeah, It
there's a
Follows,
lot of
yeah.
different.
The way
I
I put-
guess if a good
they
horror movie will
blue-ball
at least
you.
be creepy.
They're
yeah.
tense. There's tension, and you're waiting for something scary to happen. And in those movies, they do a good job of never having anything scary happen. So it's just tantric, like it's just a lap dance, and you never get to come.
In some some like
That's better than
Housebound.
Cleveland
The
Steamer.
New Zealand movie Housebound is kind of like a tent, but then things actually start happening. It actually
Yeah.
has some things going on, but it's still got a lot of build up. And it's there's good movies out there.
Yeah,
Are people enjoying us?
people are talking.
And that's board game.
Oh, board games is next. I've run out of room to shoehorn in more stuff. I put horror movies, Fast and Furious / movies in general.
That happens.
Yeah.
I think we can lump that all under horror movies. I mean,
So
Yeah.
to
board
Keith,
games.
Tokyo Drift is a horror movie.
So we had a very emotional weekend
horrifically
of board
bad.
games.
Yeah.
We played 2, 3,
Yeah.
4.
We played 2 games twice each.
We
Yeah.
did well in one.
And Nate won 2 of them on turn 3. because he
Well,
was a dick.
technically, well,
We didn't count up the second one, but I'm just assuming.
yeah.
Yeah, I probably won because we were one turn away from finishing that epoch, and I probably won it.
Well, I wasn't
But
playing
whatever.
cards just to play cards.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Yeah. So Saturday we played Forbidden Stars.
Yeah, Forbidden Stars, which is
That was
StarCraft 2
the
with
four
GW
of us.
theme.
So not Andy and not Keith.
Not you two.
And,
Yeah, it's Warhammer 40K board game from Fantasy Flight.
yeah, it's very much in this vein of the old StarCraft board game. It's different enough, but I mean, if you've played StarCraft board game, you're gonna get a very similar feel.
It's
to
the
this
same
game.
thing Fantasy Flight did to
Dune to
Dune,
Rex.
right?
Dune
Yeah.
to Rex. It's a
Not-
little more polished because Dune to Rex is basically just Dune reskinned with minor adjustments. This has
more
some
like
more
Descent
major
to
changes.
Descent.
Combat's huge
Or-
different. The combat's
It's
the
like
best part.
Doom to Descent.
Right.
Is what it might be
Oh,
more
yeah,
like. The
or
Doom
Descent to Doom.
Doom was first. Oh no,
Descent was first.
Descent
then
was first.
Doom.
You're right.
Yeah, they're significantly different.
And it's
You're
about-
right.
No, Doom was first.
Descent was first, then Doom, then
No,
Descent.
Doom was first.
Doom was first.
Was it?
Doom
Yeah,
was
Doom was-
first.
yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of Gears of War.
Yeah, it was Doom to Descent, and then
To
okay, you
Descent
go
to
Descent to
Gears
Gears
of
of War,
War, my
whatever.
bad.
But yeah.
Yeah, Forbidden Stars. That's about a 4. I would say if everyone's played, it's about a 4-hour game.
Pause and quick thing to the chat. The DVD, you can either have it show all 3 endings or randomize an ending on Clue. It's your choice when you play it. And in the original theatrical release, you got a random ending. It didn't have all 3. All right, move on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Forbidden Stars.
my
I think
theater
you
is
can
Miss
get it in
Peacock.
3. We talked a lot.
3 to 3. I still think it's
We
gonna
were
be
really
yeah.
social. 3.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really fun game, and I like the combat a hell of a lot more than StarCraft.
It's one of the best combat games for a mini board game style. For a board game
The
that has
combat is
combat,
interesting.
it's one of the best combats I've seen in almost any kind of game.
Yeah, definitely.
It
Yeah.
feels Warhammer-like, too, right?
Yeah, it definitely caught the theme. It played very. It's the second time second and third times I got to play. I played a different faction this time, and the Eldar felt like the Eldar, even if they weren't played very well.
Fantasy Flight does amazing and making
Yeah, they do
factions
really
feel
good
like
job
they
of
feel,
it.
whatever game it is. If there's an army that's based on
That's why
something,
I
when you're
like
playing that game, it's going to feel like that army. Even Stark.
The
That's
thing is they don't even have to make a technically good game. If you play a game where you're like a corn god and you're slaughtering things all game, and the game is terribly balanced and all that, you still had fun the whole fucking time.
Maybe, yeah. The thing is,
You felt like you were doing what you were doing.
I shit on GW's games more than probably 99% of people that shit on GW's games. Like, I am very vocal about hating them, but their fluff is really cool. Their worlds are interesting.
their
Well,
artwork
not
on
counting
their-
destroying it and going to Age of Sigmar. Let's just look at it like let's rewind in time a year.
When-
GW's universe is really fucking cool, and so when you get a well executed board game like this that captures the fluff, it's so nice.
And when you pick up the card and you look at your card upgrade options, and one of them is Mega Knobs, and they're these huge power armored orcs, and one of them is Biker Gang, and there's they just look so cool.
Yeah, and I've
their
got
stuff
fucking
looks so
Slaanesh
cool.
demons and stuff like
That's
that.
I mean, people that play GW, they play to throw some dice around and have stuff that just looks cool. And they have a lot of stuff that just looks cool.
And so it's nice for me to have the cool theme of the GW universe in a well executed
in a
game.
more competitive game.
Yeah.
And if you just buy a board game, you're not spending money either.
Yeah.
So for those who don't want to go down the road of spending money on something.
For me, it'd be a bit of a bummer to the theme switch because I much prefer the StarCraft theme.
They're the exact same one, you butthole.
That being a big but it's a little different.
Eldar,
yeah,
It's different.
Eldar, Protoss.
Zerg and Orcs is the only one that's basically different, and they really aren't that different.
There'll be a
Marines,
Tyranids expansion
yeah.
eventually, and then you'll have Zerg.
But it's
Yeah.
not Raynor, it's not Kerrigan, it's not Zeratul or Tassadar.
I don't know what any of that means.
Having played the game 5 times now, I do prefer StarCraft over it, but only partially probably because StarCraft has an expansion that tooled it up. This game hasn't got to the point where I will still play a lot more Forbidden Stars. Like, I'm not going to toss it because I think I like StarCraft more because it's still a different enough experience.
The first time I played it, I thought StarCraft, but better. The second time I played it, I played Orcs, and I was like, I can't fathom playing anything but battle wagons with Orcs. And that made it StarCraft, but worse. But I don't know, so my vote is out.
Well, when you play StarCraft, after the expansions, you have the map. Both games, you create a map. Players take turns, and you create this environment. But in StarCraft, you have a lot of in this game.
There's warps, and they flip
There's
around.
warps, and then you based on what's around you, based on
Yeah.
them because there's
And
two.
the planets are really
there's
cool
multiple
in
types of
StarCraft.
resources, and based on what's around you, kind of dictates which route you're going to go. Like sometimes you're going to go heavy air or heavy ground.
The planets
you
are
mix
cooler in
yeah.
StarCraft.
So there's that variety. It's a little bit. There's more variety in StarCraft, but again, the expansion helps that too.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, if once I thought it was StarCraft but better, and once I thought it was StarCraft but worse, it's probably basically on par with StarCraft,
Yeah.
which means it's an extremely good,
Although it
viable
depends
game.
on how valid your second experience conclusion is. Like, if Orcs have one correct strategy, like if
I watched Brian
you need
play.
tactical flexibility.
I watched Brian play. He chose battle wagons.
Yeah.
I know
yeah,
when John played, he played battle wagons.
Yeah.
When I played battle wagons. The cards, you look at them and you're like, this is unbelievable compared to the tier 2 cards. And trying to get to the tier 3 or 4 cards is really difficult.
Yeah.
It just...
Yeah, that was...
Well, your party wagon card was fucking absurd.
and there was 2 of them, and they were both absurd. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But who knows? Like I said,
Like,
maybe
why
an
would you
expansion
spend
will
a
give more
million
variety.
points to get tier 4 absurd when your tier 3 is so absurd that you're going to win the fights anyway?
Fair.
But the combat's so good.
It is.
I will say the game when you make the board, you victory points. Your other players are putting what you need to win on the board.
The more you play it, the easier it's going to be to not fall
Yeah.
for stupid traps.
Like our first game, Nate went on turn 3 because a lot of people haven't built a map before, so there's just a lot of mistakes. And Nate just happened to have all of the stuff he needed to win just basically next to each
I
other.
got 75%. I got 3 of the 4 required to win without
no
ever
effort.
with no combat even.
Yeah.
People left empty planets that I could teleport to one a turn. and I just did teleport. There's 3 of them.
Maybe the better comparison isn't even StarCraft. Maybe it's Rune Wars. This game is like Rune Wars, but way, way better. Because in Rune Wars, that shit is random.
Yeah.
And this one, you see it, you know it.
You'd play Rune Wars if you were in the theme for more army styles, but if you were comparing them just on the same whatever, yeah.
My issue with Rune War's big selling point, I think, and the thing that I don't particularly like in it, which I think is, unfortunate, it means that I would rather vote for almost anything anytime Rune Wars is going to hit the table, is the hero mechanic seems completely pointless, and why am I bothering with it?
It's very powerful, the hero mechanic is huge. It
If
takes
Rune
too
War-
long is my problem with
If you
it.
took the hero mechanic out of Rune Wars, I would have an interesting army game that takes
And the-
4 hours less to play.
And the army fighting is actually really fun in that game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I think
Like-
it compares with this game.
Like Rune Wars without heroes, I would like a lot more. I think.
You don't have to tweak the game a bit
And I
because they
think
do a lot.
Rune Wars with heroes is almost exactly Forbidden Stars.
Yeah.
Be pretty close. Although the bribing the neutrals is cool. Like I like all
Yeah,
those
that
mechanics.
is
I like the
cool.
card play mechanic. I like the bribing the neutrals mechanic. It's just the heroes thing.
They help in battle with the expansion and stuff.
They
Now,
do.
there's more things they do.
They do a lot
the
of
game
junk,
is designed
but it's
to-
kinda just not worth
The
it.
game is designed to include them, but I think that the fact that they double the length of the game and are kind of fiddly and
We
Well,
played a lot of
especially-
Descent, so when you see your old character from Descent pop up, it is pretty fun, but...
Fantasy Flight's good about that game. That game world is incorporated in so many other games.
Yeah, you recognize the creatures, you recognize your hero, you're like, I was Mad Carthos the Mad, he's awesome, I'll take it in.
And even like games like Dungeon Quest, their version of Dungeon Quest uses that world's cards, and Runebound uses those world's characters. So they really have embraced that world they created with all these characters that cross over from game to game.
Which, I mean, takes away from it for you because you didn't do a lot of those ones, and for us, it's
Yeah.
actually kind of neat. So
I mean it's neat, but is it worth an extra 3 hours onto the length of the game and worrying about the quest phase and moving guys around and shit?
that's why I just said I think I prefer
Yeah.
the 40K game.
Yeah. That was a semi-rhetorical question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun, and
I think we all had fun playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's the best game, one of the best games of that style of tactical war game in a board game, because you never, by the time you're getting to the point where somebody's really getting crushed or where it wouldn't be fun for somebody, the game's over.
Yep.
And
They do a good job
and
of
one
that.
yeah, they have
Also-
they're great on end game conditions. Games don't overstay their welcome.
Yeah, like in StarCraft, the turn you bought the last tech was the last turn of the game.
Yeah.
Usually.
Saying I think StarCraft might be better maybe is never an insult to a game.
No.
Yeah,
it's
no,
not.
it's still those are high. It's very high in the games. Like one thing that's interesting, and when I put games like that together, what I find is challenging is getting people who I think are going to play the game well together. Because if
Yeah.
you're going to sit and play a 4-hour game, you got to make sure people are going to enjoy it and are up for it and understand shenanigans. And even the play styles, like when Ben, your friends played Game of Thrones, and you didn't like it because people were so aggressive against each other in Game 1. Where we play, like we'll be aggressive pretty. Like if I played StarCraft or Forbidden Stars, I always see combat by turn 2. Like combat's gonna happen on turn 2. Very rarely turn 1, occasionally, but it's not a thing where your group is much more turn 1. Just start piling on people.
Yeah.
There's this sort of a thing in our world where it's almost kind of a social contract because we all want to everyone.
But it's not even a social agreement because I think it's just that we all independently
Like
think that it's better to build up for a
Yeah.
turn.
I always feel like my better strategy in those games is stay the fuck out of people's business.
Yeah, you don't want to get too much. And like when we play, because you obviously got my attention right off the bat, so we had this big thing, and I'm like, yeah, me and Ben are going to fight for 6 turns, and Jim's going to walk up my butt later and win the game, and that's exactly what happened.
That wasn't just it, though. I mean, like, that was part of it, but, if you look at the board, like, where all the things were that I wanted to
Yeah.
I
get were where
understand
your
why
home
you
base
did what you
was.
did.
Yeah.
And all of the stuff that you wanted to get was where my home base
Yeah.
was. I mean, it was...
Yeah.
You guys
if
were
you look
gonna
at the
fight.
board, it was going to
Yeah.
fight anyway.
There might be a reason why the very first thing I did in the game was play that warp storm that forced Ben to go into Brian.
The one thing that I do and also don't like is that there's 4 warps that move there on the map that say if there's warps and you can't move through it. And like my third game, literally the warp storms kept me out of the game for 5 of the 8 turns.
When I play,
I actually
That
did.
was our first game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was like, why am I? I mean,
when I play that game again, I'm putting a warp storm around the fucking border
Yeah.
edge. It just keeps them out of the way for a little
But
bit.
the players put the warp storms on the map when the game starts, so it's kind of like a player thing. Like you could put 2 or 3 warp storms together, but you're like, okay, this guy, and maybe he's really good or something, but you're still like, okay, you're not going to enjoy the game if you do that. Like you can ruin, and like a game like StarCraft, that can't happen.
And so that kind of requires either a house rule or a social contract,
Yeah, there needs to
which
be
is a
some
weakness
sort
in
of
the game.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and StarCraft, you
But
change
it's
the
an
X
easy,
and the Y axis,
it's
but that's
an easy
not
house rule or social contract.
Like we already even talked about a few possibilities.
If you either say each square can only have 1 border blocked, or warp storms can't touch on the first turn, it basically resolves the issue.
Yeah.
It's only in the first couple turns the warp storms are really lame.
because people eventually will have developed
Because the warp
map a little
storms,
bit.
like on turn 7, if 3 people are screwing a guy with warp storms, there's probably a very good reason for it.
Correct.
Yeah, and I mean, early there's still like that would be a weakness of the game without a fix, because if 2 people conspire together to like screw over a third, that is beneficial for them. So they're not doing it for no reason.
Yeah, you either need a social contract or a house rule.
No, and in that game that Brian's referencing, he was the only person that had any experience.
you had-
so all of us kind of understood.
He's winning,
kind
get him.
of.
He
You
already
know,
knows
he's
what
going
he's
in
doing.
winning. So everybody just kind of had a social contract of screw Brian.
And my thing is, and that's fine, and that's what it was. But when I'm playing with 3 newbies, I am not ever going to try to win. But I would like to play the game a little bit. Like if there's 3 new people, I am in no way am I playing optimum moves. I want people to play a game. It's how I teach. If I'm teaching, if there is 1 new player, with rare exception, if I'm teaching Nate a worker placement game, I'm not going to slow down that much, because certain games we play a ton. But if it's a new concept game, I am not going to be like, I'm going to kick their butts and get this high score. I want.
Well,
people to-
you'll make the right plays for the strategy you take, but the strategy you take may be a different one.
Yeah, it's not going to be this like
when-
maximum. Yeah.
Winning the game's all well and good, but you're trying to encourage people to enjoy the
I
game
would-
and play it again.
Honestly, when it comes to board
and then
game,
next time you try like hell.
I am happier playing board games than winning board games, because the act of playing a board game to me is much more fun than almost any other type of entertainment. More than video games, more than TV, more than movies, more than War Machine. Board games to me are just what I enjoy my time being spent on. Yeah, it is fun to win, but I would rather play a day of board games and lose every game than play 1 game of War Machine and win. Like I don't. It's,
To me, a lot of the wins in board games aren't really that rewarding anyway.
Yeah.
It's more the journey than like I won the Forbidden Stars.
Yeah.
But I know I won the Forbidden Stars because Brian was distracted and I backdoored it and it just kind of was handed to me. And that's fine because I got to roll orcs around a galaxy. And
you get to roll a bunch
and
of
it was
dice,
fun.
and you get, I mean, the combat is so fun that you still. I mean, I got a lot. We all got to roll a lot of dice. We got to move a lot of stuff. It wasn't like we sat for 4 hours.
Some board games I win and I'm like, yeah, I won that one.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, it's like somebody had made me win that one, and they're not even a kingmaker. They just had a strategy. Everybody's strategy combines together for you to randomly win at the end.
And Ben even said he likes to roll dice. He wants to roll dice every turn and do something, have things happen every turn. Where I think, and it did, like me and Anthony, if I didn't roll, if I sat back and didn't roll a dice for 6 turns, if turn 7, 8 were important, I'm fine doing nothing turn after turn. After
Most games, my dream is to not roll a dice until turn
When I
7.
play, exactly. If I play Terra Mystica, typically the second to last turn near the end, there's a turn where I do basically nothing. I basically have a turn, I get my resources. No, I'm not doing this turn, and I pass and move on.
Yeah, that's a valid strategy in that game.
Yeah, but
the game today, I bid 5 or fewer tokens.
Yeah.
I think 6 of the 9 turns
Yeah.
of Age of Ren today, because I just sat and all I did was like, I get my income, I buy some attack, and I got second place. I mean, I was just hiding.
And you and me, you and me had a very similar.
I took the very exact opposite strategy of that. I was buying like 19 or 20 guys.
Slam it out, yeah.
Yeah, well, but
and
we
then
were
bitching and moaning the whole game.
Oh, come on! no.
It was
Why'd
pretty bad.
everybody hit me? I can't possibly win.
It was pretty obvious I was having fun. I think.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not saying you weren't having fun.
Yeah, but I mean, it does. To me, the
You
day.
did win the game. You did bitch and moan the whole time
Yeah.
people were hitting on you. That is a factual statement. And you did claim you couldn't win. That's a factual statement.
Uh-huh.
I'm not bemoaning either of those things.
Yeah.
Both valid strategies.
To me, that's just part of the fun of the game. I
Right.
enjoyed that game more than anybody else.
I think that to some extent today, all 6 of us enjoyed that game.
Yeah, I will admit
Keith was the most demoralized, but I still think he enjoyed the day overall.
we all do the bemoaning we're losing thing to some degree. Like I said, I try to hold back, but it still comes out
I
once
didn't
in a
think
while.
people was thinking I was serious.
Nobody was taking you serious.
Well,
Because we
it's
all
still-
know that they validly were doing it every time. You never were incorrectly
I will
hit.
admit, if I'm gaming, I sometimes won't. But sometimes I'm not in the mood to hear that. Like I have sometimes not. If I know Jim if I can invite Jim and Jeremy, I know you guys you guys do that the most. We all do, but you guys do it the most. I sometimes won't invite one of you two because I can't. I just can't handle 2 people doing that all day. So someone gets left out once in a while, just because of that.
I thought I did pretty good today. I must be really terrible.
You
then.
did very well in the game. But
No, I mean, I thought I did good at not complaining. I thought I was being silly about it.
Well, that's the thing. You complained constantly, but we all knew you were being silly about it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you were never actual grumbling and bitching because you knew that we all knew that you were validly hit every fucking time.
I think Keith thought I was mad at him the one turn.
Maybe a little.
Yeah, it was hard to tell sometimes, and it does. I mean,
I was just doing a lot of yelling.
It's sometimes you compound the fact it was a long game, so in a shorter game it's not as noticeable. It was really hot in the room, so you get these other things that make it even more. It's like it was other factors that also compound.
I was annoying you today.
Shocking, a little bit here, not a ton. It wasn't like it was.
Man, I thought I was
I'm going to
just
go
having a
home and
good
I'm going to break
time.
that window open. I don't care what Eileen says.
I thought I was just having a good time. I didn't think I was taking away from anybody else.
A little, but again, honestly, if it wouldn't have been that hot and it would have been a long game, probably not. Again, it wasn't just. It was a combination of all that.
Well, I'm sorry. I really had fun doing
That's
it.
fine. You and Ben
I was
played the
cool
game
with
for a while.
I mean,
What? How did this happen?
You're sitting next to him.
that's
ruined-
okay. I don't mind.
Shots fired.
Whatever.
But it was a neat
I don't
game.
need to play
And then today we
games
played
anymore.
Age of Renaissance.
Age of Renaissance, a game that takes 6 hours to play that should take 3 and be fun.
Well, that's the thing is that's why it's one of the big classic board game geek games, Age of Renaissance.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the whatevers. It's a grandfather of games, and so like a lot of grandfather of games, there are then fathers and sons that come down, and so
And the sons learn from
Actually,
the grandfathers and fathers.
the great grandfather is advanced civilization and civilization. This then Age of Ren. Age of Ren is the faster version of Civilization. Like Civilization takes a good 12 hours to play.
I've been invited to play that game, and I looked
The
at
old school one, not
yeah,
the new one. Yeah.
and I looked at its runtime, and I was like,
Advanced Civ takes double-digit hours to play.
Nope.
Age of Ren is the faster version that has some randomness in it.
Is Through the Ages about the same length, you think, or is that shorter?
Through the Ages is much shorter. Through the Ages is
It depends
Through
if
the
you're
Ages
being
gets down
mowed.
to being a two and change 3 hour
From what-
game.
yeah,
Depending on
I've only a limited
like half
experience
hour
with
per
it.
player, I
Okay.
think, kind of game. The shorter version that I mentioned is there's a Manifest Destiny is the 2 to 3 hour version of Age of Ren. So if you guys enjoyed that game, the shorter version does exist and it's called Manifest Destiny, and it's 90. Like the mechanics are all pretty much the same.
What I enjoyed about the game was the economy and building up is fun.
Yeah.
It was really random and swingy.
Yeah.
But really in the end, I mean, me and you had the same strategy. We had the same strategy coin. We just played the different side of it. We both actually played a really even game. I would build up a bunch every turn and get knocked back down to a spot, and Nate stayed at a slightly lower spot.
Here's a thing that I'm going to say as a weird counterpoint, is I think it needs to be 6 hours long because of how random and swingy it is. Like our test game, I got lucky on literally one die roll, and we all agreed that I just won that game on turn 3. Just because of one die roll that gave me, whatever. But in a 6 hour game, that everybody's going to get a swing.
I just
and
don't
it's
starts
gonna-
to feel slightly pointless. Like Keith got stuck in the spot where it felt pointless. You're like, I got 7 wool because I'm wool, and I play my wool card, and then you never see one again. And now it feels pointless.
yeah, and
Right.
And if
Well,
I'd
he
got
needed to get
if I'd landed it when I was at the max, like the 128, I might have been able to snowball. Like that might have given me enough tech value to snowball to.
And see, I would have had a
spot.
much different strategy. I would have played it with 3 or 4, and just like other people would have taken when they got the wool card, and they would have played the card, and then maybe I would have saw it again.
Well, you just have to do with it. Like you had Seaworthy.
It's
like,
a different strategy.
yeah, England has 3 wool on their island, but to some point you have to say, well, fuck it. Like I had 4 stone the whole game because I start with it all, but stone's terrible, so I just ignored the fact that I had stone. Like you had seaworthy vessels and a metal card. Grab 3 metal token spaces. So like the game forces you have to obey your cards. Your cards are never going to obey the strategy you think you want to play.
Which is true, but the
But it's
cards
just
can
hard.
give you strategy that's like you're not in a position to take care of. Like sometimes it's
It
like
can be. Like, if I had drawn ivory or gold cards, they're worthless to me because I didn't have boats.
The game has the Axis and Allies weakness. If you make a mistake on turn 1, it's going to for sure nibble at you turn 2, 3.
All
four.
economy.
Any economy game is going to do
And
that.
turn 2, and it builds and it builds.
And with the randoms on the cards, you might make a mistake you didn't know you made.
Yep.
You could be actually playing like a legitimate thing. Like, I don't know. I liked it. I think if we played it again, it might even be an hour shorter because of the experience.
Absolutely.
But I don't, and I can't judge it. I'm not going to judge it off one game and say it's bad. But I think it might have too much luck. There's always I've always said there's a luck and a length, cross point. And I don't know if it's on the wrong side of the cross point to me long term or not.
And it might be, in all honesty. It's a surprisingly chaotic game for being an old school Avalon Hill game.
I'm glad I played it.
I had a lot of fun playing it,
Yeah.
but I think that if you brought it to a board game day, it would never get set up.
You can't. That's a game. Like certain games.
Oh, it's a game. It only gets played by appointment. Like, they're never going to bring it to a board game. It is a let's meet and play this.
I mean, what I'm saying is that I think there's other games you could schedule to get more positive results or responses.
I don't know.
But we're going to be doing kind of a Sunday every couple Sundays where the point is playing these 6-hour games or 5 or 6. We're going to be just trying to play games that.
Right.
So
So-
even if they only go 4 hours.
When we play in Greyhound Course.
It can hit the table. I mean, I've never played it. I mean, it's
that's
not...
like a 12-hour one. That might be a little rough. Yeah. Anything over 3.5 is like starting to get to be in a dead zone. But.
There's it's only mainly because in the last 5 years there have been so many good 3-ish hour games like that
And
window
you get
never
back-to-back
really
two
opened.
amazing ones, yeah.
And there's such a good thing now that exists for those 3-hour games.
And
Yeah. I'd much rather play three different games and have 3 chances to win and 3 different experiences than play a 6-hour game. That 6-hour game better be just epically good, like a StarCraft or...
Yeah.
And if it is a 6-hour game and it's one where you made a mistake turn 1 and it bites you every single turn for the rest of the time, if you played 2 3-hour games, you'd had 2 tries at not fucking it up.
Exactly.
To me, though, sometimes having a bigger epic experience is its own reward, and also,
I agree with that.
Like,
Well, that's why I think so often we're going to do that. That's why I think.
If Age of Ren had taken 2 hours and we had played it 3 times, maybe Keith would have won one of the games, you would have won, and everybody would have had a chance. But on the other hand, having it be this long, epic thing with the growing and shrinking and hitting and getting counter hit and everything has its own charm in a way.
It does, as long as you're not doing the same rinse and repeat over and over and over every turn. I think that's the key to one of those longer games like that, is that you just has to keep doing something. Like, I get kind of like meh about Eclipse, even though it's a fun game, because it feels like you're doing the same thing turn after turn.
And there could be
turn.
like maybe one person's expanding and building a bunch of cities for their because if you have more cities, you get more income per turn. But you might have just accidentally built on like these 4 new cities. I might have built 4. As I got very few mineral cards to play, so I just needed cities. That was my income per turn.
Yeah, now all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, I need that," and you're getting attacked
so
for no reason,
I'm being
and
attacked
that's
because they're attacking me for a very valid reason because they need that material for their
But
turn.
for you, it just feels like, well, I'm getting screwed because I'm not getting.
I'm
not getting the cards, and I'm not getting the cities.
Yeah, then it's like so that was a little frustrating here and there.
I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's a good game. I just think that there's a million great games now. Not a million.
I will
There's so
play it
many
again,
of them.
and I did enjoy the time with it. But
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I'd play it again.
Which is also fair.
That's sort of how I feel about most long board games. Is like, that was in some of them there are neat experiences.
Next weekend, Twilight Imperium, right after the 6-pack, we'll play War Machine for 12 hours, and we'll just do a quick 12-hour game of.
I already texted John Demaris, and he is coming up for it.
Awesome. Now I know which building to burn down. Because I think burning down a building is a fair trade for getting a Twilight Imperium game destroyed.
Yeah. I'm not opposed. I would unironically play Twilight Imperium.
I love that game. Does such a fun building the universe. I love the building the map out and stuff. It's
and then you can stop.
Yeah, I think this is fun. We built a galaxy. Let's build another one. Let's just build galaxies.
That's pretty much what I do with Lord of the Rings. I build decks and I stop because I get to play it now. But
why aren't we playing War of the Ring?
Oh, so good.
Why don't we play that more?
Because we make bad life choices.
We make bad.
I should be playing more War of the Ring and more Armada. Are the 2 things I should be doing spending my time with. Have you played War of the Ring, Ben?
The worst.
Yeah.
You familiar with War of the Ring?
It is the full consolidation of everything that you dislike in board games.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've got
What is-
everything I hate in board games
in one
experience.
experience. Twilight Imperium.
Oh yeah.
It's like
It is the worst possible game for him.
it is a giant free-for-all where you are strongly encouraged to betray people.
Yes. There's going to be a game of diplomacy at War Machine Weekend, unironically agreeing to that.
It's unbearably long, and the primary
It's a lightning quick 10 hours.
the primary like game experience of building and like controlling your fleet is not the primary path to victory.
Correct.
And
It is not a war game, it's a Cold War game.
Yeah, if you ever move
build
that
borders
fleet, you
and
are
win politically.
fucked.
You win borders
Yeah,
and win
if
through
you ever
politics.
move,
Then the guy
if
to
you
your
ever
left
move your
gets-
fleet aggressively, you are fucked.
And then the guy to your left just
Back
gets bored
from
and
here.
attacks you.
Yeah.
And then, or the guy just attacks you randomly because he was
Yeah.
bored, and then
Right.
you both lose. You're
Yeah.
like, would you like to lose the game with me, Keith? I know you were playing a fun game, but you know what? I've decided you and me are going to lose.
At hour
6 hours from now.
At hour 1.5, I have decided that you, me, and the person next to us are out of contention. And you're like, but I have to sit here for another 7 fucking hours, you piece of shit! And then...
Yeah, isn't it great?
You know, I might want to
that's
play
why-
that with
and you're
Keith.
like, why did you attack me? I just fell in.
Again,
No
that's
reason.
why
That sounds really fun to watch Keith play.
I am feeling
I
out.
don't want to play it, but I think I want to watch Keith play it.
Yesterday,
Charity event.
like,
Keith plays Twilight Imperium for the children.
this is a feeling out situation. You know, we're playing these games because if you find a group of people that don't fuck the game over like that, then the game doesn't get fucked over.
I have been told.
So it's fine. What it is to find people that play the game correctly, and then you play it.
I have been told that by people who love Twilight Imperium, that they have groups that work that way. But then I've had the same discussion with Chad, who said that he plays in those groups and that it's still unbearable and awful.
You would still hate it. It still is everything you hate about games, but at least one part would be
Well,
polished
we
off.
had a really good group playing Dune the one day, and then someone just left like right before the end.
Oh.
We're in the last turn. Everyone's actually playing the game well. We're 4 or 5 hours in. Oh, I have to go home now. My wife is lonely.
You should play Dune again. You should play Dune with us.
I love how wrong we were about their dynamics.
Yeah.
We thought that she was like really
Just
needy
mousy, yeah.
and mousy, and that
And he's more like Jeremy. He's the needy one. He
yeah,
needs their attention.
and the fact is that she just burns him. And it is hilarious. And he does whatever she says.
Yep. Him and Jeremy-
it's
him and
amazing.
Nate and
That is the
Jeremy
most
are
amazing
basically the
woman
same
I've ever
person.
met, and I was only around her for like 10 minutes. She burned him like 6 times in that 10 minutes, and they were nasty. And then she said, go over there and do that, and he did it.
Good for her.
Yeah, she was amazing.
Is it like the enjoyable burns that are fun for everyone, or
Oh,
is she
yeah,
just
everybody's
like,
great.
yeah.
or
It
is
was
she just
fun.
is she
It
just
was
pulling his balls off
amazing.
and making his life hell?
Yep.
No, it was like
All of it.
It was good-natured group of friends, you know, zippy zips. Especially since this is a guy that we all burn. Like, we all burn the shit out of this guy.
She's
So
like,
it's
oh,
all-
I can be one of the guys.
She was part of the group that picks on that guy,
All right.
and then also she unironically also tells him what to do. So it was best of both worlds.
She owns his ass.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
And he's okay with it.
Yeah.
All right.
That was
Oh, she's great, man.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes to be married to a great person, like
Yeah.
you just have to know. It's like, is it worth this relationship to never stand up for myself? Sure.
We were so wrong about that whole situation, though. It was
Yeah.
amazing. Sometimes you just get your eyes open, like, oh, yeah, that's right. I don't know anything.
But you never need to play Twilight Imperium again. But you should
I
play
don't.
Dune with this group because number one, it's better than Rex, and number two, I think we're a better group.
Benny,
wish
Benny
for
wins
that
every
game.
time
It's
anyway,
almost the
so-
same except for the one rule that I still like the way Rex plays better. It's quicker, the map is cleaner,
It
but
is
it does
quicker and
have
cleaner.
the one unnecessary like
The Fremen change
It
is
fucks
terrible.
over the weakest faction, and I'll tell you another subtle thing.
That's the faction I played.
It fucks over the Fremens. Do you know why they're fucked over worse?
Because of their deployment rules.
Right. Yes.
It's
yes.
reverse order, so
The
instead of being able
Fremen
to go
can
4,
move
you
to
can only go
twice as
2.
far on the map in the Dune version. Instead of only threatening a quarter of the board from off board, they threaten 3/4 of the board from off board.
Seems a lot
There's
better.
still places they can't reach, but at least they can threaten it because it's ship and then move, so you can put new guys on and then move them a little further. The other thing it gets rid of that's kind of subtle, but I really like, they got rid of it because it cleans up the game, but they're so fun, is they got rid of truth trances. And truth trances, the yes or no question card, and those are fucking hilarious when played correctly.
we should steal the tokens where you, instead of you get the little tokens for the turn of the player how you went for the Benny Jen. It was a much cleaner.
The
way.
tokens are nice. Well, writing it down to the same thing.
It's
You just write down and
complicated
shove-
paper.
Yeah.
A piece of paper
It's
shoved
bullshit.
under the board is really
Yes,
complicated.
it
That's
is.
true.
Complicated.
I am illiterate.
I like
I need
today
pictures.
an age of Renaissance. Nathan failed to mention the most important tiebreaker before the first game.
I'll kill you.
That never
You know what's
came
even
up.
simpler than
Yes,
the token?
it did.
It came up,
It
like,
came up
twice.
4 times.
You know what's even simpler than the tokens is we just play the game of Dune,
And then Benny
after
wins.
somebody wins, just go, yay, Benny wins.
This is how it always happens.
Assume the Benny picked correctly.
Benny has won almost. I think there's only been one game I've played that Benny's not won.
If they win on their
Since teaching this group, I think there's been 3 times that Benny hasn't won with their guess, and 2 of those they just won validly anyway.
Yeah.
So if anyone's not familiar with the Dune board game, you win if the Benny
It's the
win
best victory condition ever, and it should be in every board game.
if they guess correctly which other player wins when.
Yep. They pick a player and a turn number, and if that player wins on that turn number, the Bennies say, go fuck yourself, I win instead.
And do they win alone if
Yep.
they get that?
Yep, they win alone.
They can be in an alliance and go, come on, guys, we got this, by the way, fuck you.
And then everyone's like, wait, we're being encouraged by the.
Yeah,
So
sometimes
good.
the Benny Desert will just like leave a zone.
Yeah,
And
they
you're
go,
like-
here, you can have it.
No, I won't. And you don't know if they're
First
fucking
game I
with
won.
you.
Because the next turn they do it again.
I know.
You don't know if they were lying last turn or if they're lying this turn.
They just fuck with you the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I played him, I'm like, Jim's going to run on turn 3. I'm like, Jim, turn 3, and I win. Because,
Yeah.
Jim's all, yeah.
Like, and that's the thing is, some, like, people, at first it seems like a random stupid thing that's purely luck-based, and then you get a good Benny player that starts fucking with your head, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
Well,
this
you know
is
a
amazing.
player, you know the faction they're playing, you kind of
Yeah.
know, if you know enough
yeah,
things,
and you
you
know
kind
your
of...
group and
Yeah.
you have who's hot. And
Because I did literally have, like, I had a game where we were playing against a Benny, and joking aside, they just vacated a territory. 100%. They were the second to last move, and the person who had the last move, all they needed was just to move one guy into that territory to win, and the Benny just vacated it. And goes, we don't even have to roll for it. You can just have it. And the 3 of us in the alliance just went in the corner and just talked for like 45 minutes because we were like, what the fuck do we do?
you went for it and you lost a
We
Benny.
decided we could not allow this to stand. We couldn't let them push us around. We couldn't let them emasculate us.
And
We
Benny
landed in the
won.
fucking thing and the Benny won.
So only the one out.
Yeah, it's a great mechanic. That game is perfect in the regards that everyone is overpowered at some element of the game. Like there's one element every player cannot be stopped in.
Sometimes
It's
you get
so
a wombo combo that's super fucking annoying.
I love explaining that game because it doesn't matter what order I explain the factions in to new players. I explain the first faction, the player's like, they can't possibly ever lose. Ever. That's absurd. And then I explain the next faction, they go, well, they can't possibly ever lose. It's irrelevant what order you explain them in. They're all broken as hell.
And it just works. Because
Harkonnen is the nastiest one, though.
Yeah.
Not because they're more broken than anyone else, but goddamn traitors. It just feels so bad.
And the hostage thing, yeah. Oh, man.
I forgot that one game I
They
played.
just stomp Fremen and steal their leaders. You're like, stop it!
I forgot how I won the game with the Emperor. I remember just dropping the Emperor in once. All of
Yeah.
his troops that were stupid.
So fun.
I remember about that game playing Rex and wishing it was Dune because that is one where a lot is lost in the setting.
Yeah.
The theme
like,
is pretty
if you've
cool.
played TI3 and even second edition, if you've played the Twilight Imperium games and you know those themes, it's still, but it's not the same as
no.
It's not Dune.
Yeah, we've read the Dune books and we understand
Yes.
Harkonnen and they make sense. And Rex just takes it as all.
Well, let's say the Doom books. When you get past one, you're like, I don't know.
Oh, that's what I meant. Is I've read the first Dune
Yeah.
book 3 times.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the trilogy, right?
Yep. You read Dune 1 3 times, trilogy complete.
Yep.
The first book is a masterpiece. The first 3 books is a good trilogy.
It just gets
After
really
that,
I
it's
good.
bad.
have
Imagine
only read the first one, and I'm content with my decision.
And that's
I
fine.
have read it 3 times. It is the trilogy.
You
Exactly
have read a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's great. It's a fun book.
The trilogy is still
It
a
sticks
solid
with
A
you.
minus.
It's what
I'm
it's
not
a
even
book
going to
I mix
Hoffman
up with
B+,
like 4
'cause
other
that's
books
risky.
all the time. but-
Yeah, it's risky.
Yeah, I remember, and I have a bad habit of following things way too far down their respective rabbit holes.
There's
Dune
certain
3 and stop. Sever at 3.
I got-
Sever at 1 is still,
This is the one I have successfully stopped at 1 because I looked ahead sort of at what
I-
was,
I-
I
Wheel
read
of
some of the
Time.
later books. I'm like, what?
Did you Wheel of Time?
I Wheel of
I
Time.
Wheel of Time until I hit a book that was literally a recap of another book.
When he died, I laughed my
Every
ass off.
single part in the book was just a recap of another book. I was like, wait a second. The 10th book was just a recap of 7, 8, and 9?
I kept going. I Wheel of
At
Time.
least the other author came in and made
deep.
things better.
I had
No,
a buddy
you
who
did
was
not.
reading
A
it.
lot of people. I mean, that you're. I
when you get
Another-
committed to 11 books in
Yeah.
a series, You pretend for your own psychological benefit that the last 3 are good.
I had a buddy who was-
I've been reading the other book.
My
I've never
friend-
read the Wheel of Time.
He was reading Wheel of Time, and he was keeping track of how
The
many
first
characters.
5 are okay.
He was keeping track of how many characters were still alive and how many countries existed, because he knew once one of those got down to a small enough number, the books had to end. And then once it got to the point where characters were being resurrected and countries were splitting back apart, he just stopped reading. He's like, "Fuck it."
Yeah, I remember
When the
The
author
first
died,
5
I
are not terrible.
No. There's a reason I Wheel of Timed all the way to the end. It's because they got me too deep in the rabbit hole. I was like, well, in for a penny. And,
It's not worth it.
no, God.
5 and done.
I just powered through that series in audiobook, so it wasn't nearly as painful.
There are other series you can power through.
A lot of audiobooks, though.
For me, that would make it worse because when I got towards kind of the end, here's how I read the book. No, I'm not reading that chapter. No, I'm not reading that chapter. No, I'm not reading that chapter. Matt Cawthon, I'm reading you.
And then, that's what I was basically to the point, too. I was like, power through for Matt chapters. And then
Oh, and the new guy ruined him.
ruined him.
And that is an unforgivable sin no matter what else he did. Matt Cawthon, I went back and I reread The Wheel of Time. Matt Cawthon chapters only. I'm not even shedding.
I believe it.
And so if he ruined the only good character,
He was unrecognizable.
then it's an unforgivable
He was
sin.
following a syllabus, though, so I don't know if that's what... I mean, maybe how he's... I mean, I don't know anything about it.
But that doesn't mean he didn't
Characters-
write his personality out of it.
Characterization is all in their personality and their mannerisms.
And Matt was the only enjoyable character in the books.
Yeah. Well, having not reading them...
By the end, by 10, by the recap book.
You're the first person I've ever heard that didn't like the Brandon Sanderson books. Like, I have people who man...
I have heard that same thing. They ruined Matt. And for me, that means I would not like him either.
Fair enough. His other book series is kind of interesting, but...
Yeah,
Because,
he might be a
mean-
fine author, but there's some things
If
that are
there's an
not...
amazing character and they ruin... I mean, that is pretty rough.
There are
It's
some
like-
things that are not transferable. Like, I wouldn't trust someone else to
Well,
write
like-
Dresden, no matter how
True.
good of an
Well,
author
and
they
Martin
were.
kind of was
And that's
really-
exactly what it was because it was a one-character book
Yeah.
by the end. Like, everybody else sucked.
Well, like George R. Martin kind of ruined Tyrion a little bit in book 5. He made him so boring. He made Tyrion chapters boring. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of a
awful.
sin. I mean,
How
that's,
do you
Hey,
manage?
he played chess a lot.
yeah. I mean, he made Tyrion boring.
If
That's
an editor would have gotten 4 and 5 as a book clumped together, they could have edited that down to a good book.
He it's the same thing that happened to Lucas with the prequels, is that the creator's creation was so successful that the editors are scared of him. You know, if Lucas
Yeah, it turns into yes men.
yeah. If Lucas did not have 100%, Lucas had like no fucking control over the original films. Like he had ideas, and producers and everything reined him in and said, "No, that's stupid," and they changed things.
And editors got it down to the amazing movies.
Yes. And that didn't happen with the prequels. And then you
If
look
the
at
prequels,
Martin. Martin
I
had
mean,
editing for the first 3 books or 4 books, and then he bloated out the rest of them because no one can say no to him anymore.
Yeah,
no one will cut chapters anymore.
It feels like he got a little egotistical, He has got some great other books, so we've talked about this in our podcast a million times, though.
Space Mexicans.
yeah.
And then I'm trying to... What was... Oh, yeah. Rabbit holes I've gone too deep down. But yeah, I've avoided...
For me...
There's
I've
TV
avoided-
shows where I go too deep, and eventually I gotta pull myself out. Like,
Yeah.
but
For
sometimes
me,
I'm still in.
I don't feel like I ever have that problem. I just cut loose.
I feel like
just
I'm...
I probably quit too
I
early.
want to see. Well, you actually do cut a little too early, but I mean, if you're gonna cut, that's probably in some ways better. But sometimes, like with TV shows, like, you have to just watch the first season. Sometimes
I feel like I'm already too deep down the Blacklist rabbit hole.
I really like the Blacklist, and I think season 2 got
God,
better.
that show is garbage.
Well,
Except for...
some of the
what it
first
is-
to watch is Once Upon a Time.
It is the most
That show is
incompetent.
garbage,
It is the
too.
most incompetent law enforcement on the planet.
No, the following is the most incompetent. The following is more incompetent.
I don't know if it was the last one.
I'm
second
not
last-
saying they're not incompetent. Keep going.
In Blacklist,
How about the
not only
CSI that
does
they're
one of the
both
2
typing on a
main
keyboard,
characters,
that seems
at least that
incompetent.
doesn't make sense, but that's not incompetence. Not only does at least one of the 2 main FBI people get knocked unconscious and kidnapped every fucking episode of the Blacklist.
True.
There was an episode where they're going to arrest somebody who's in a hotel room. They get to the hotel, they stop at the desk, they use the desk phone to call up to the hotel room and say, "Yes, Mr. Smith, we're on our way up to arrest you now. Bye," and hang up the phone. Surprise! He runs away before they fucking get
What?
there.
He got away?
That is just breaking the social contract of criminals.
No, what you want...
What?
What I want from that show is basically House of Cards in a criminal rather than a political environment with James Spader instead
Except
of Kevin
for the last
Spacey.
season where Kevin Spacey was powerless. But
Yeah, but all you get instead, exactly what this guy said in chat. You only watch it for Spader,
Yes.
and I'm not sure there's enough Spader.
sometimes some episodes are on. That's why you keep watching, because every so often they give you a Spader-a-thon.
You're like,
and happy.
oh Christ, can we just bring James Spader on screen to
I-
like taunt someone and shoot them? Because that's what I'm here for.
I like Spader and all of his like little cronies that's right around him.
They should have
That
just went
group
the
is
Fox
amazing.
method and realized they're not that clever and just done the James Spader house style show.
Yeah.
Or you know what they did with
There's no
Backstrom.
other. It's they just know the
Like,
characters.
you know what? This character is way more awesome than our writing, so we're just going to let this character do something cool every week for the entire episode.
Yeah, no, and James Spader. I was reading about
That would probably be better. Right?
about casting. They were originally trying to get Kiefer Sutherland. It would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
The chat is correct that Boston Legal is fucking amazing.
Yes, and
Yes.
Because of
After
Shatner.
After
Goodbye.
I watched the first season of The Blacklist, I'm like, oh, James Spader, yes, but I hate every other actor in this show. And then I watched the first 2 episodes of the second one, and I was like, what am I doing? And then I went back and watched the entirety of Boston Legal, and I was like,
Well, because that show gets other characters, but they just vanish. Like no other character lasts more than like 5 episodes. They just replace him constantly.
Yeah,
It's just Shatner and him, and every other character just vanishes for no
and
logistical reason.
Candace Bergen, who's quite good in that show
Shatner
as
was the
well.
best part of Avengers: Age of Ultron, or not Shatner, Spader.
He was.
Shatner would have been amazing as Ultron.
That was a movie I didn't care for at all, but
It had a lot of problems.
Spader kept me
Here's-
mildly
Who was he in
interested.
there? He's the
He was
bad guy?
Ultron.
He was Ultron.
And so it's just Spader voice. Like they didn't. He was cast purely. They're like, okay, Spader, we want you to be this guy, and don't bother at all with any effort. Just talk normally. And it was amazing.
It was still an entertaining movie.
It was entertaining. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just.
It's no Guardians of
It was
the
very
Galaxy
workaday.
or-
It was very,
Guardians
you know,
of the Galaxy
yeah.
is the best of all the Marvel ones.
Yeah, I would agree.
Age of Ultron was very obvious that it was a necessary step in their overall plan to advance the mythos. It was not an independently good film by itself.
Whereas the first Avengers was
Correct.
really fun.
And Guardians of the Galaxy was an independently good film. Like, it was the most blatantly... It's not my least favorite Marvel film. I know, but I'm wrong and everybody disagrees, but I still like Winter Soldier the least. But...
Is that the second Captain America?
yes.
The god-awful,
That-
terrible, horrible one?
2 people on the... 3. Raylene also hates it.
It was bad. Josh Maxson and I agree.
Yay! Anyway,
Common
I was fucking tortured.
I hated that movie. But anyway...
Probably my
hated it as-
second favorite.
I didn't hate it as much as Thor 2. Go on.
Thor 2. Thor 2.
When he
was-
hangs up the hammer?
yeah.
Come on!
Thor 2.
And his hammer's following him, and he keeps moving, so the hammer's...
Thor 2 was definitely better than Thor 1 because of the Natalie Portman ratio.
Dark
the less
elves.
of her, the
Dark
better
elves
the
and
movie.
space aids can go fuck themselves.
Dark elves!
I like Dark Elves.
Evil space elves. Come on, evil space
They're
elves.
funny.
With porcelain masks. I like those.
No.
Yeah, I like them. They look
They
cool.
had a great actor that they underused for the villain. That's one
We
problem
should-
with that movie.
We
Loki
should
is
start
awesome.
tying things up.
No, it's fine. We're tying things up because it's
Recommendations.
Zappity Grumble time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Fuck you, time
You
limit.
were in the middle of a point.
I was? Oh, whatever. It's workaday. It's not my least favorite, but it's the least creative, and it's. I'll
Is that
never
what we
watch
were
it
talking
again.
about?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
George.
I was going to wrap up talking about
never
Marvel
bother
and
Oh,
saying
and we were doing rabbit holes.
generally those mythos building exercises for comic books and now apparently comic book movies is where they lose my interest, where they're like, let's tie everything together and make one overarching
Yeah,
big sweet story, because they
junk garbage
always
shit.
fuck it up.
Yeah. And it's just like, there's too much
That's the
homework you
problem
have
with
to
Winter
do.
Soldier right there.
Number one, it's too disjointed because they have to wedge stuff in. They're like, oh wait, we need to have Thor have a spirit quest in a hot tub for no reason because we need to, and we need to do this, and they have to wedge all this stuff in, which also means
Can't
that you
we just
need to
watch a
know all this
guy
stuff.
beat people up with his hammer?
Can't we just watch a guy people? Can't we just watch a dance off? Can't we just watch a raccoon
Yeah.
with a bazooka? Like, can't we just have fun?
That was the one thing you guys ragged on Winter Soldier so much. The thing that I wish the movie was, I wish it was more about Captain America versus
Throwing
Batroc.
his shield
Like that first,
in the head of people.
that first fight scene where he's just running across
Oh, it
the
was
ship, where he's just
awesome.
beating the fuck out of everyone.
If you
that
want-
was the whole movie, I would have loved it so much. I still liked it, but not.
That would have been amazing if the whole
So
movie was like.
I,
Yes.
I know I'm hating on it, and there's one reason I'm hating on it. If you want to custom make a movie for me to not like, make the first scene 10 times better than the last scene, and I will hate that movie every time.
So that was a really good fight.
That's
scene between
why I
him
don't
and
like
GSP.
X-Men 2. Isn't the beginning of X-Men 2 amazing, and the end is
Yeah.
just kind of eh? That's why I
How
didn't like
first
a
scene does the
lot
first
of
scene have to
movies.
be? Does that have to be the first big scene? Because I would argue, and Andy and I have talked about this surprisingly a lot, is I would argue that the first chase sequence in Fury Road is way better than the final chase sequence in Fury Road.
I might agree with that.
Like, the whole thing, they go out, then you fight the buzzards, then you go into the storm. Like, that's just, I fucking love that. Way more than the climax. And the climax is also amazing, but that whole sequence with Buzzard and Storm.
Well, see, that's the thing. If
And then
you're
Fist-
like, one is amazing A+ and one is amazing A-, that is not enough of a swing for me.
It's
But
not
if you get
A
an
to
A
C.
plus and a B, that's
Yeah.
still enough of a...
If I get an A+ and a C-, that's it. I
Yeah.
hate that movie.
I also liked certain movies where you also too you get spoiled with the commercial. Sometimes you see trailers and like the big action thing is like some movies like surprise you and like they you don't see everything from at the end. So it helps me.
Here's the edge of my tolerance on that is the A-Team. The
loving
A-Team's
this.
first sequence was an A+, and the last sequence was like
A B-.
B-, maybe.
But their middle sequence, they still have the
They
middle
fly
sequence.
a tank.
That's a middle sequence.
That's
The
a middle
That's
sequence.
still another A. See, at least
Yeah,
there's-
they went A, C-, maybe a C-, and that was enough for me. But if it's first scene, blah, poop, that movie's in trouble for me.
Yeah.
I will hate it. And even if even if the blah parts in the middle are actually pretty good, and the movie was pretty good, they custom made that movie.
It's
for me
not.
to
It's
hate.
no Speed Racer.
Yeah, where the climax literally shuts down and resets your brain.
Yeah, I think I had a seizure when the checkered flag starts spinning.
Everybody has a seizure every time. It resets your brain. It feels great.
That is a
That needs to be a
wonderful movie.
tagline for something. Everybody has a seizure every time. It resets your brain. It feels great.
That is
4 stars.
that has been a movie that I've gotten so many people with because I'll be like, "This movie is amazing. You have to see it," and they're like, "Fuck you, you're trolling me."
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, "Watch it. Watch
I
it and
have
find
run
out."
into
You're like,
2 people that didn't like it, and I don't care for them people.
Never see. Yeah, they don't involve. Yeah, they're not invited to hang out anymore.
Well,
Yeah. You were originally one of those people. You're like,
I was like,
I can't believe this movie's good at all.
So,
we've told that story before.
Refusing to watch it because you don't believe it's good and watching it and not thinking it's good are very different things.
Our
Yes.
roommates
Being
thought
a
we were
Richie.
on drugs after we
Because
watched that.
nobody listening believes us. You know, nobody who hasn't seen Speed Racer is like, no, maybe they're joking. This is
Maybe
some
it's pretty
in-joke.
good.
They're all pretending because they've all agreed.
We're trying to red belt somebody.
Yeah, we're red belting them. You know, this is episode 10.
Brian thought there was LSD in the popcorn at the theater.
You two were. Yeah, you were. Me and Nick are like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
And they thought we were doing the trolling.
Yeah.
We're like, we'll go again. They're like, yeah, sure you will. Like, yeah, and all of a sudden they were stuck in the theater.
You watch that
What
IMAX
happened?
twice in a row.
in the same day, back to back.
Like, to me, because I'll talk about. I will forgive a lot of mistakes in a movie if a movie
If it
knows
has
what it is.
Christina
You
I
do
don't
not
mind.
forgive mistakes in
Not
movies.
mistakes.
You are
I'll
the
forgive-
worst
I'll
person.
rewind
You
this.
will. Yeah, you're
I
the
will
worst.
love a movie for the same reason I hate a different movie, as long as the movie is honest about what it's doing.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will love this movie. Like, I'll say, "Fuck you, movie, for doing A." I love you, movie, because you did A. And this movie's like, but I did A. And I'm like, fuck you, though. You were different. And,
Yeah.
you know, you were a horror movie. You shouldn't have been funny. You were a comedy. You shouldn't have been scary. You know, you should know. And Speed Racer, I fell in love with Speed Racer when there's a...
It is perfect.
The villain is talking. Like, it was... I was enjoying it. And then I fell in love the moment that a villain's talking. He's talk, exposition. And you know the directors are like, it's been 30 seconds of talking. Cut to a monkey driving a golf cart while Freebird plays. And it cuts to a monkey driving a golf cart with his feet while Freebird plays for like 10 seconds, running over scientists.
And then spinning in circles on the wheel while the thing wheels around. It is
And then it
amazing.
cuts back to the exposition because you had your refresher. Now we'll have the... And I'm like, yeah... That's it. Like, I love you now. You are perfect. I don't care what else you do. You knew what you were, and you were a monkey driving a golf cart to Freebird.
You are. Movies need to know what they are and go down that road. I hate when you see a movie and it wants to be serious, but yet it's just doing wacky things, but it's trying to...
and that was one of the biggest problems with Winter Soldier because it was like, are we a comic book movie that's just trying to make little kids laugh, or are we trying to present you with a deep philosophical question about the nature of freedom and associated safeties? And it's just like...
Like, I love Ninja Assassin, and I hate Winter Soldier. And Winter Soldier is probably, like, objectively better or whatever, but fuck it. Ninja Assassin had Humvees blowing up ninjas. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
There
And
was no
think-
elephants with ninjas, though.
And
There were no
I think-
outfits with
I
ninjas.
think some of us wanted different things from Winter Soldier. I wanted it to go down I wanted it to be like,
That-
we're a comic book movie, but we can be serious and just commit to being
Yes.
serious.
Oh, yeah.
And cut out the stupid bullshit with...
Every
I
once in
don't
a while, a
need
movie knows what
Sam
it is,
Jackson.
and it's
I don't need
still
Sam
really
Jackson's
terrible.
magic car.
No.
I don't fucking need Sam Jackson's magic car.
But you are the person who I believe the most will dislike a movie off of one moment. Like, you will watch a movie more than anyone else. You're like 99% in one thing will be like, oh, it was dumb, because you latch on to one thing more. I have everyone does it to some degree, but
Boy, Brian is just doesn't like either of us today.
He hates it. I'm like, me, what about Jim? He does that too.
Jim can dislike as much as you want. I've since learned that whatever Jim doesn't like, I don't care. Like, Jim not liking something has no relevance on
And
what
it
I like.
shouldn't.
Yeah,
it
it shouldn't.
shouldn't.
My opinion is usually slightly more valid, so when I dismiss something
I'm
that
just
quickly
saying-
annoys you, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying you latch onto one thing in movies and
Yeah.
that make you dislike them. So,
And I don't do that very often.
Yeah, you
It's
have a
different.
convoluted wheel spinning why you don't like something sometimes.
Oh, right,
which is
okay.
fine. But you were like, I was great, but that one line or one thing.
That guy was wearing a hat.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Sometimes you're like that though. And if something's based on content that I really like the content, and they break one character's thing, it can ruin it for me sometimes. Like it's like, but that character wouldn't have never said that line, so I can't
See,
endorse the
The
movie.
key is to never have a reason for why you hate stuff, because then people can't be like,
Oh,
"Well,
yeah.
you're just
You
hanging on to one thing." Like, no, I'm
hanging on to
because I
nothing.
fucking hate it.
You
Screw
embrace
you.
the cast of not liking anything for random reasons. Which is fine. It's just how it is. I mean, it's
If
just
I watch
how it
something
is.
and I don't like it, I don't like it. I don't need
I
a reason.
love when Nigel doesn't like something because you'll get a 400-point reason why he doesn't like it.
Oh, the rants
Even
are
if you don't.
glorious.
I'm mad at Nigel, by the way, because in your last Muse on Minis thread for like the 126 thread or whatever, he's like, I really like Raiders of the Lost Ark, but there's like 2 or 3 things I would really change. And I said, what would you change? And he never posted again.
Oh.
I don't know if he
Indiana
thought I was
Jones.
trolling him or
Which
not,
one
but
is
I'm
Raiders of the Lost
the
Ark?
first one. When he opens the Ark and the Nazis all melt.
Yeah, I don't really remember that one because the third one's the king.
You should say the fourth one.
Indiana Jones and the crystal meth.
Yeah, in the refrigerator. We saw that. We were so confused.
Zappity. Zappity.
A dude swinging through the jungle is way faster than a Jeep. Way faster.
They blow up the jungle clearing thing. And then for 15 more minutes, they're still driving through the jungle on a path. If there's already a path, what was the clearing thing doing? If there wasn't a path, how is there one after they blow up the clearing thing?
My
You don't
favorite.
Why
understand how
do-
Jeeps work.
Why do the Indians stucco themselves into the wall every day?
And this is an example of what Brian was talking about.
This isn't one thing. This is a dozen things. The Indian, every fucking day for like 200 years, for generations, this entire tribe has just walked into the cave, punched their card, and unstuccoed the night crew, and then stuccoed in the day crew.
You don't understand Indian culture.
But see, you can sit and list off 1,000 things that's bad with the movie because it's a bad movie. But for some reason, if everything else was the quality of Raiders of the
And
Lost
one
Ark,
of those things
and that
had
scene
that
happened,
happen.
you wouldn't forget. I would agree that scene is oftentimes your point. The fault
50%
is right.
of the time that'll ruin a film. 50% I'll shrug and ignore it. But yeah, you're right. I do that a lot.
It doesn't, man.
Part-time.
Hard
Be better
time.
takes.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we?
Zappity.
Zappity Grumble. All right, so Crippled System, who is the most shiny and chrome host?
Shiny and chrome, I don't understand. What's that? a
So not
reference
you.
to?
It could be a host. I'm wondering if he's trying to get us to decide who is the most shiny and chrome out of us,
I'm
or
mediocre.
the shiny and chrome host, like I think Richard Dawson.
No, I think he means us. Richard Dawson.
What? What is this situation? What is that reference?
Mad Max.
Oh,
Yeah, I think Richard Dawson. I mean,
Richard Dawson's fine.
Yeah.
But
who loves you and who do you love?
Yeah.
It's It's got to be Gene Rayburn.
Ooh, yeah, Gene Rayburn.
Or Gene Shalit?
Gene, Gene Rayburn match game. Gene Rayburn match game. Shiny chrome, baby.
Zappity.
Grumble.
Have you played?
Gene Rayburn, Brett Summers, and Charles Nelson Riley. Oh my God, I will smoke weed and watch that all day.
Mark Summers?
No.
No, Mark Summers.
Poor Mark Summers. You know, he deserves shiny and chrome because
Yep.
he did Double Dare and Super Double Dare and Family Double Dare. And
Yep.
what would you do with pies and goo and shit flying everywhere? And that guy had crippling OCD. Crippling. He won't shake hands because he's a germophobic. At home, I have seen videos of him because they did a documentary about this. He took a ruler and scissors to his fringe carpeting to make sure all the fringe on his new fringe rugs is the same length. Like, he's that monk level OCD, and he hosted all those fucking Double Dares.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he didn't kill himself.
Yeah.
Yet.
He still lives with us. Yeah.
Zappity.
Grumble. Have you played Fresco?
No. The
I had
the
two.
board game.
I've
Fresco,
seen the cover of the box.
I think I have a copy of it. It's still in shrink wrap.
yeah. So no.
Pretty close.
Zappity.
We got close.
If money weren't an issue, wouldn't Magic the Gathering be one of the best games out there?
No. No, fuck that. Hold on. Soapbox. Okay. First of all, the best parts of Magic is 1 day out of 30 playing that game. You can have the best parts of Magic 30 days out of 30 by playing the Lord of the Rings collectible card game. No. No. Magic is not fun.
But Lord of the Rings is co-op. I mean, if you want a competitive one, though, I mean, for competitive deck building games,
It's not a deck building game. It is a game in which you have
have a deck. You're right. That was a misspeak. But for a competitive card game where you before the game play a build a deck, can we even just narrow it down to that? Is it the best competitive you have built a deck before coming game? Or does it even still lose that against?
So here's the thing.
What about Netrunner?
Okay, you're saying if money wasn't an issue, would Magic the Gathering be the greatest?
If you
for
had
a time when I was like from 18 to 24, I had no money issue while playing Magic the Gathering a million hours. So I've been in that situation, and it makes you want to die. It is not good.
I don't think the high competitive events is really that great. The things I miss about Magic is sitting down at a table with like 4 or 5 other players and playing that multiplayer Magic game.
And Lord of the Rings is so much more fun.
The 3-on-3 was fun. The Commander version sometimes.
I've never played that, but I always sat at a table with like 5, 6 people. Like we're here and we just have our stupid deck.
For it to be like the greatest thing ever, you'd have to be willing to do it 10 hours a day, and Magic makes you want to die if you do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Magic is from my time playing it, I really enjoyed it, but at the same time, I can imagine the competitive environment. It's brutal.
It's like poker, but you're fighting tooth and nail and cheating and fighting cheaters and being dirty and looking at their cards.
Yeah, I mean,
over $20, not $1 million.
I would not play it competitively. But playing with friends, it's fun.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a well-designed game.
And not if you're somebody like me, because you keep going one little step further and one little step further and one little step further, and then you look back at the last 5 years of your life and you're like, oh my God, what did I do?
And that's the other thing about Magic. One of the things that makes it great, in quotation marks, is its level of complexity and depth. It is such a spectacular game as far as you can build your skill to the point where it is a hugely skill-intensive game. It's something that a lot of entry-level players don't recognize. It's like, well, you get mana flooded or mana screwed, and you win or lose the game. Negative. No. Skill-intensive. Incredibly
Very
so.
much.
More than like a poker or something, yeah.
But there's the problem of, like, just playing it for fun isn't really a thing once you've developed those skills. And, like, I've done a little bit of cube drafting here and there with people, and you play with good drafters, and the analysis paralysis goes on forever. And you have to deal with
We had the best drafters in Madison. I don't care what anybody says. And we did not sit and analyze like that. We would draft so everybody's deck was a fucked up piece of shit. And then we would beat the other people with the fucked up piece of shit because we were used to it. Oh, yeah, eat that.
So I don't know. It's a game that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's well, like you said, it's a very high skill game, you know, and I don't know.
For me, I can make a Lord of the Rings deck, and I can really enjoy the process of building a deck and then running through 100 games with it and finding every little nitpick and making it into this fine-tuned, well-oiled, amazing machine. While I'm doing that,
since
I'm
it's
not
co-op, you're not
fucking somebody over.
Yeah, because it's a co-op game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I enjoyed about Magic too, is like constructing my deck, fine-tuning my deck. And then the draft process was, if I was forced to play, I would prefer to play in draft.
Mm-hmm.
So
Zappity.
Grumble. Adam asks how can you explain how to use Twitter to him?
I don't
He can't
know.
seem to figure out how to tweet, even though he tweeted twice just fine.
I have not successfully found tweets a single episode.
Yeah.
I think I figured it out recently.
I think Brian's pocket would have a better chance at it than me.
Brian's pocket should be at a movie.
Just treat Twitter like a giant chat room, and then you're done.
Yeah.
I find the process of like following in conversations to be very challenging on Twitter.
They're difficult.
It's like jumping in a chat room. You just jump in, you're in it for a while, you're like, oh, hey, I'm chatting with somebody, and now I'm out.
I'll often
Done.
see your response. I'm like, man, what did he respond to? And I've never
they
find.
can't find
I can't find the original comment, but I see your response, and it's like very intriguing. Like I would.
I know part of it's hash brownies.
Twitter is actively terrible. Like there's no, like it's so bizarre to me that it's so successful. It's $1 billion industry that is awful. Like you can't communicate well because you're limited to a fuck ton this shitty low number of characters, so you can't put thoughts out there. It's so hard to follow conversations. Like it's strictly worse than any other way of communicating.
It's probably better than Instagram,
And people
but-
love it.
And people love it.
All right.
Zappity.
Zappity. Trouble. Or we're failing it lightning round.
Your mom.
How is the Wisconsin-Canada wall coming along? Scott Walker,
Yeah,
2016,
Walker.
Zappity Grumble.
You know that there's another state between Wisconsin and Canada, right?
No,
we can
no.
build in the middle of Superior. You
Yeah.
just need flotations, and you put a wall up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
We
call.
have a border
Wisconsin
with Canada.
doesn't border Canada at
Yes,
all.
it does.
Not by land.
Not by
Superior.
land, by sea.
We have a border
Because
with
there's a
Canada
gap
and
between the two
Superior.
chunks of Michigan.
Yep.
Although the Upper
We
Peninsula is
have-
rightfully ours, god damn it.
I like the Yoopers. They're funny.
Fair enough.
They're a good band.
They
If
can-
it was
they can do
tacked
whatever
onto
they
our
want up
state,
there.
it would look stupid.
Yeah,
Hey,
we
we're
love
coming
like
up
a mitten, and that's great.
We're coming about that time when we're going to hear 30-point buck on the radio all the time now.
Originally, Wisconsin included Turdy Pointer.
Turdy
Originally, Wisconsin included the Upper Peninsula and went west past the Twin Cities and south past Chicago, and then they took that shit away from us, and we seceded, and they said no and fired our governor, and we were like, okay.
You know,
So we never officially unseceded.
So we lost parts of Minnesota.
Let's not go down that road
and
and be like,
Chicago.
we don't want to be like Texas.
Yes.
We don't want to be like Texas. Never be like Texas.
All right, Zappity.
Grumble.
That's where my truck was made.
Law Third says, for me, it goes EDH, sealed, draft, stabbing myself in the balls with a soldering iron, and constructed.
I can go with that.
That's his Magic of the Gathering. John Nilsson asks, how do I stop being a pansy and ask the cute girl at workout?
Just ask her out.
Just ask her out.
But make
Just-
sure you're appropriate about it.
Whoa,
Don't be
whoa,
all
whoa.
fucking creepy.
Give Nate her telephone number.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
So she can go see a movie
Depends on where you
first?
work, though. I mean, it is a workplace. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the thing
It
is,
is
you ask her
workplace.
off, he's like, "Oh my god, sexual harassment," and I mean,
Why,
it's,
ask her if she wants to go out to lunch if you have the same schedule.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Yeah.
I mean, people
Don't ask her
date
out
people
like
and
a
marry
weird
people from work
date
all the
or
time, but you
whatever.
gotta
And
take
then
it
if when
simple.
lunch goes good like 3 times, then ask her.
Or you
out,
ask her out once, when she says no, you don't try to push it. You gotta
You
be
need
like,
to make it be no big deal because that takes less. Also, do not call it a date. Do not use the D word. Don't say you want to go on a date. Just say, hey, do you want to go get lunch?
I mean, if it's
Just
like
hang
the
out, because-
70s, say it's a date.
Yeah.
I don't know. You wanna date me?
All right. So the question is, possessed by
Zappity.
Zappity Grumble. Sorry. Possessed by a ghost of the opposite gender or a demon? What would you rather?
Can I wait? Sorry.
Well, Keith already.
Do I
has
get
one of
powers
those.
from the demon, like head spin style, or
I
mean,
assume
that was part
I
of the
assume
deal
for
when you
both.
sold your soul,
like
right,
what's
Keith?
happening?
I
Like,
assume that both you would have
No.
the same powers.
Be possessed by a ghost of the opposite gender?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of games can we play?
Well,
yeah, like what happens there? Like,
Why do they care? I don't know.
like I
just-
We're all dudes. I don't think any chicks want to be in a dude's body.
that's probably a very, that's
like I
probably
would
why-
rather be dead and possess a girl.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Like,
Can I be the ghost possessing
what
the
I
body
say.
of
That's
the
what I'm
opposite
saying.
gender?
I got the answer.
That's
I
more
would rather be
interesting.
possessed by a demon because I probably wouldn't kill myself during the possession. Like a woman would be like, "This is awful." Just be done with it.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is, like, all that's like to happen is the woman would possess me, and then she just play with the dick a lot because it's interesting. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, look, this is
Which
neat.
is just
And
a
that's what I
normal
do
day.
anyway.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
normal
saying.
day.
It would be no different, except
Yeah, that was just another Tuesday.
For me, it was a Tuesday.
yeah.
there you go, demon.
Zappity. Marvel, DC, or Indie?
Indie.
Depends,
I go-
depends on the year.
I honestly would go Marvel, Indie, DC. That would be the order for me.
Indie probably has specific best things, but
we
if
talking
I
about
only
video
could,
games?
if I only could
Comics.
own one of them, Like if I was only allowed to read one of them, Marvel would win overall because I have the variety. But I think
Wait, are we including Vertigo into DC? Or
That's a good question because Vertigo is
independent?
kind of independent.
Because if Vertigo is involved, then DC is coming up
Vertigo
number
is
one.
probably more of an independent, I would assume. Kind of like some of the Marvel
Vertigo,
subclasses.
they did Preacher too, right? Vertigo?
Yeah, Vertigo is Preacher,
Sandman.
Sandman,
Yeah.
and a lot of the good kind of.
oh yeah, I was kind of counting those indie in my head. Like I was
Yeah.
in my head, I had Sandman as indie, and I had the other one is what Spider Jerusalem's in. What's
I'm not sure.
not Metropolitan, the main character's name is Spider Jerusalem, and he's awesome, and those books are good, and I'm forgetting what they call it.
But it just depends on because if DC gets to own what they own, then DC. Otherwise,
Okay.
All right. So we got confused by the questions. Good job.
Considering this is going back to the previous questions again, law of thirds. Considering most of my female friends have stated that they would just randomly hit things with their penis if they had one.
Demon.
All right,
That would stop soon.
all right. This is Zappity Grumble. If I haven't read all the novels out there, but did PP make Acosta a Thamurite just to piss off the Constance Blaze players?
Probably.
I didn't hear the question because I was Googling Spider Jerusalem, and for the record, he's in Transmetropolitan, which is a Vertigo one. So all the stuff I like.
Basically, it was like somebody hadn't read all the novels out there. Did Privateer make Acosta a Thamurite just to piss off the Constance Blaze players?
No, he's a Thamurite because the fluff for Thamurites is that the personal improvement is sort of their paragon of blah 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 blah. Fluff, 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 fluff.
Why would it piss off Constant Blaze players?
Because they can't take him.
They can't take her, or they can't take him.
Oh, right.
'Cause
In
he's
my,
a-
She's a Signar and caster, and he's a Signar and
Right.
Stormblade dealie.
Yeah,
Not a
but
Signar.
it's just weird.
Well, yeah,
I was
you can play for him.
confused. I was confused. He's, with what factions they're in.
Zappity.
Because what faction is he in?
Mercs.
Merc. So with the Merc, you could play him. I don't. Is he that great with her?
Oh,
No,
No,
well,
you
he
can't
would
play
be
with her.
because
He would be.
transference and like a Matt bajillion power bajillion weapon master.
You can't because she doesn't.
But she's animosity.
she's animosity.
Well, I
Animosity.
understand that. And that's what I was. I didn't understand.
Yeah,
the
you'd
question.
take him 100%.
Oh yeah. Zappity.
Ah, bah.
Yeah, so they did it just to troll
Grumble.
you.
Biggest Kickstarter disappointment and biggest success.
Shadows over Brimstone. Wolf. I'm disappointed that the new characters aren't all yet.
What's the question?
Biggest personal.
Kickstarter disappointment and success.
Well, I haven't kickstarted anything, but I'm just since I get to play Brian's Kickstarter, I'm just counting myself on everything Brian's ever done.
Well, the PP Kickstarter was pretty fucking disappointing. But was it surprising? No. No,
I
it was
mean,
not
I haven't
surprising that it
loaded
was
up
disappointing.
tactics.
There you go. I think people expected a slightly better game.
A playable one, like
Yeah.
something that you could.
I would say almost all video game Kickstarters are disappointing. Not all, but I mean that's the genre of Kickstarter video games is just overall bad.
I only kickstart board games because it's essentially a pre-order and you get your bonuses and good is good.
and I've done 9 board game Kickstarters and they've all going pretty well. Occasional delays, but I still get the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the biggest disappointment for Brian was backing Conan after you backed it.
Yes.
Well, that was
There can only be one.
Brian went full in on 2 Conan games, both of which I was going to own anyway, so I don't know why.
I had a Kickstarter problem for a few months. That was during that time
Yeah,
frame.
it wasn't a problem. Can somebody be like, what do they call it when you keep an addict addicted? Enabler.
Yeah,
what
you
is
need
great,
an
though-
enabler because I really like Shadows over Brimstone. You need to find more stuff like that on Kickstarter.
The second one I didn't go all in on, and Brian did. So either what's going to happen is because I bought all the Kickstarter exclusive stuff, I didn't pre-buy all the expansions and everything. So either those come out eventually, and I just buy them from the local game store, and then we both own them, or the game fails and they never release those, and Brian has them and I don't. In which case, I will pay him through the nose to get those. So Brian's winning out either way.
I still have the Ogre stuff sealed from all the Kickstarter.
I need to buy all those too.
I have
I need
done
all
a-
the
yeah.
Ogre exclusive
Yeah.
things because I never got around to buying those. I only have the one that I got for Christmas.
To be fair, there was a plot.
ACD
There
one.
was a plot to remove.
I have the ACD one, and I have the one with the monster.
I got all
because-
6 or
yeah.
8, whatever.
Yeah, I don't have the other ones.
There was a plot to remove you from the group for a while, so I had to get some of the games back because you weren't going to be
Seems
around.
fair.
There was going to be, there's a time where we're like, we need to remove. Nathan's going to move.
And then, it was when Jeremy and Katie stopped coming to the podcast. They're like, oh, shit. So you're still alive.
Fair enough.
I love Ogre, by the way. I have only played it once, and I don't know that I like the game. But I love what people in the what wasn't it made in the 70s?
Yeah.
I love what the people in the 70s thought was the future of warfare.
Yeah.
A gigantic tank, and one little missile takes it out. Nope.
No.
Tanks are not our future.
But it has hyper armor on it.
Yep.
Like,
Tanks are not our
it's
future.
immune to nukes.
Yep, and you wait for it to start crossing a bridge, and you blow up the bridge, and it's sunk in a ravine. Tanks are not our future. It's just great. I love it.
Fair enough.
All right,
Zappity. Grumble.
That's it.
Recommendations. Ben,
Recommendations.
recommend something.
Just anything.
I'm going to recommend the new Evil Dead show on Stars.
It hasn't started yet.
It hasn't started yet.
But I'm going to recommend
The trailer was amazing.
Trailer,
It's a
yeah,
safe
yeah.
recommendation.
The trailer was, I don't
Everything
need any
Evil
more.
Dead related has been great.
I recommend someone get me Stars.
All three originals, the remake, the musical, have all been great.
The musical is so good.
Yeah.
It's actually playing like 6 hours from here soon.
The musical of what?
Evil Dead the musical is amazing.
Wow.
I'm actually
There's
gonna
a splatter zone. The front several rows get blood sprayed all over them.
I'm gonna check. There's tickets.
Yeah.
There's tickets on sale.
Yeah.
It's like 6 hours
love it.
away.
It was in Madison last year, and none of us fucking went.
Someone told me, "Oh, you guys."
Yeah, they told us like 2 days after the event occurred.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, I think it was also Bruce Campbell was in town as well. They're like, "Hey, Bruce Campbell's in town last week." Fuck.
Yeah, that's those both things have happened. I will find out. I've been watching the tickets. It's like 3 to 4 hours away where it's going to play, and the tickets haven't been on sale yet. As soon as they get close to sale, I was going to let everyone know if they wanted to drive 3 hours to go watch Evil Dead the musical. It's
might.
really
I'll do it.
fun.
I'd probably
I'd
caravan to
definitely
go to Evil Dead the musical. Yeah, if it's within 3 hours.
I'd caravan to go watch the show too because I just don't have Stars. So
All right. Ben mentioning the World War II with the Gameholecon reminded me one of my favorite movies of all time, and I just watched it with the wife because she hadn't seen it yet. Kelly's Heroes is an amazing film. It's a World War II heist film. It has Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, Don Rickles, Donald Sutherland. Like,
Isn't
it's
that
an
the movie
amazing cast.
that,
It's the one that Hot Carl
Hot
also
Carl has-
worships. Clutch and I bonded over the fact that he had the Donald Sutherland character as his avatar on the Private to Press forums, and I said, whenever I meet you, I'm buying you all the drinks. And so at the next Press Gang party, I just gave him enough alcohol to kill a horse, and I've loved him ever since. But Kelly's Heroes is a great, great movie. It's a great war film. It's got the shooting and the stuff blowing up. It's fucking hilarious. It's just great.
I have not seen it.
Watch it. I have it on DVD. I'll loan it to anybody who will watch it.
All right.
I will recommend a new television show. I forget which channel it's on, which is important, but Google exists. It's called Blunt Talk.
Yeah. Oh, I have not seen it yet. It drives me
Is it about
mad.
marijuana?
Oh my
No,
god.
it's Patrick Stewart as a sleazebog pervert, and it's fucking great. I haven't seen it, but it looks fucking great.
He does. I'm not even sure that he is a sleazeball or a pervert. He just has like an eccentric life.
He's sure into... Well, yeah, I mean, he's into every sin that exists. I guess he's a pervert. I mean, he's a sex addict and everything, but
But sort of in a
not saying
benign
pervert-
way.
pervert doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Patrick Stewart, is that the NASCAR driver?
Yes.
The Pain Stewart.
Captain
It's
Picard
Captain
and his
Picard from Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
Captain
well,
Picard
why
and
didn't you
his-
say that in the first
Captain
place?
Picard and his hilarious butler, like getting into shenanigans. Oh my god, it's delightful.
Yeah, I keep meaning to watch that, and I keep not watching it.
I will say that thus far it has trended down from the first episode, but I'm hoping that it stays at least strong enough to.
But I mean, is it trending down from fucking amazing to good?
That's
And
been-
good is still. I mean, good is still good.
I think so. It's just been trending consistently
It's
down,
like
which
certain
is
shows
worrisome.
when they're bad. So it's like a Bad Act 2 episode is still usually better than most other TV.
Speaking of the,
Yeah, except Angels Take Manhattan.
I can't.
oh yeah,
I haven't seen this season yet.
There are the occasional.
Is anything worse than Angels Take Manhattan?
in the world?
Can't be in the world. And that's a good question.
that is, I believe, the worst episode of television I've ever seen in my life.
It is so fucking bad.
What a terrible way to send us.
So inexplicably bad.
Truly.
But I think the new season has started off intriguing. I don't know about good, bad, or otherwise, but intriguing. I'm definitely watching the next one.
Last season, there was a moment when Clara sits down on a bed, and she's wearing a short skirt, and she sits up onto the bed, and without thinking, I literally tilted my head, and Raylene just punched me. Yeah, I don't know. It was instinct. It was fucking instinct.
You know,
Muscle memory.
yeah, it's not, That's kind of just ridiculous. All women are like that, but it's ridiculous.
She's
We're
like that.
genetically programmed to do it.
She's the same way, man. My wife is a goddamn. We bonded the first time I noticed her as a human being, and not
Because
just
she
a
liked
blur in the
pina
crowd.
coladas. Is that it? How about
It's 2 weeks in a row someone's had to find their center.
Flames, heaving white flames, burning. No, anyway, it was
Serenity now.
was
in the rain?
was one day at work. There were some ladies talking about how much they wanted to have sex with the sexy guys in 300, and I'm like, oh, here is women who are openly being perverts. And I was happy to meet a woman who is comfortable just drooling over abs and admitting that, you know, as a woman, she didn't have to be all demure. She just like, I want to fuck that guy because he's hot.
You're like, you want to see good abs? I'll show you a picture of one back at my place.
Yeah, I've got books full of them. But, like, men are allowed to. Like, we've got Playboy, we sit around and we talk about wanting to have sex with, you know,
Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan was hot and now she's not hot, and we're like that. But women aren't allowed to culturally as often. So it was like, oh, here's a woman who just in public is just saying, that guy's hot, I would rail the shit out of that guy. And I'm like, good for you, we should hang out. And now we're married.
All right.
So she doesn't get to punch me. I should get to punch her when she looks at some guy that's hot.
You could.
No.
that's jail time?
Miss Andre. Yay, somebody got my Clue call back. Anyway, you had a recommendation.
My recommendation is The Warriors. You need to go and watch The Warriors, and you need to watch it with
Yay. With the comic
no,
book
come out
inserts?
to play.
Well, yeah,
Not come out and play.
to play, yeah.
Yeah, but you definitely need to watch it
Director's guide.
with an open mind, because honestly,
Yeah, it's very dated.
it's very dated, and honestly, I really want all these games to exist nowadays.
It's
all the games.
amazing. It's so, yeah. I mean, yes, open mind, but it's
It's a good kind of like a tension flick, because they're basically being hunted down throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
And there's some some decent fight scenes that
well, it's a remake of the Odyssey, or not the Odyssey of the
Iliad.
that was the Iliad. It's it really is. Like, and that's why they all have, like, Greek names, and they're Greeks. Is like, if you look at the journey they undertake, it actually does, and the games they fight kind of match with the different armies and the things that they face. Yeah, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is the Odyssey. I mixed it up, but yeah, it's a hidden remake of a classic.
we mentioned that as we were watching it too. Is like the
I think
Iliad.
it was Jeff that mentioned it.
Yeah, that's not like
I had no
coincidence.
culture
That is
or class.
intentional.
So don't worry about
But-
any of that.
But honestly, like the Electric Eliminators, I mean, those guys, I want to have jackets like most of them.
That falls with the know what a movie is.
To me,
Like,
the disappointing thing is that the rogues killed the big guy. They totally went rogue. I can't believe it. It's horrible.
Is that where the term maybe has come up from?
No.
Is going rogue?
Going
No.
rogue's probably been
because-
around since about 300.
yes. I'm sure
The
it has
year.
been. I don't think the etymology is that the movie The Warriors.
I'm curious. But yeah, it's got basically T-Bird who was in The Crow. He's the main villain, Luther, part of the Rogues. I don't know. I thought it was. I liked the movie a lot. I can't believe that I've gone this far in my life and I've never seen it.
Oh, you hadn't seen it yet?
No.
Oh, I've watched the movie.
Everyone gave me shit about it because I posted that
That's an Andy movie.
it is totally an Andy movie.
It is exactly a style movie, which
Right,
is
it
what you really
it's
like.
an open
I
mind
think,
thing. Like,
I
if
don't
you're
know.
if you go into it, if you see a gang of mimes show up and this whole gang is just mimes, and you're like, that's really stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. Shut the fuck up. It's amazing.
But even then, if you saw
It's a style movie.
we talked about
Yeah.
this too in the movie too. It's like if you saw that gang of mines in the other end of an alley and you were walking down that alley,
You would turn around.
I would probably turn around.
What, was the mimes the ones with the baseball bats?
No,
No,
there's
no.
also a baseball player.
Yeah, that was the baseball
If I saw
Furies.
9 guys coming after me with baseball bats, I don't care how they're dressed. That's bad. They got their asses whipped.
They did.
Whoa.
Have you not seen The Warriors?
I have not seen The Warriors. Does it follow? Is it like a Trojan War?
No, you're right. It is Odyssey. I was
Odyssey
wrong.
again,
By the way.
right.
It's from somebody else's book talking about. I can't remember the author, but it would be very loosely based on it.
I mean, that's there
It's
are
a
any
whole-
number of things
The
very loosely
ending is
based on
actually
the
kind
Odyssey.
of hilarious.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
one
want
of
to
the-
spoil it.
one
Do
of
you
the
care about a
characters-
spoiler?
No.
No,
The
It's
ending
the
is-
Odyssey.
the rest of
I
the
have a
world.
pretty
They
good idea.
fight all the way to get home, and they fight tooth and nail, and they work all
They're
night to
behind
get
enemy
home.
lines and they're fighting through to get home.
And they get
Yeah.
home, and they're like, "Oh man, we fought all night to get here," because they're going to Coney Island. They're so disappointed when they won. Oh.
Yeah, they fought tooth and nail to get home to a shitty home.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of trivia. One of the characters gets killed during there because he was fired from the movie. So they had like a stunt double come in and they killed him.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting trivia about that movie
Well,
too.
there's stuff
About
There's a little subtle stuff too, like there's a gang of women who like seduce the gang and everything, like the
Silent
silent
Harpies or whatever,
they're-
tyrants,
and the
yeah.
one guy who like they don't mess with is the one who's really artistic and everything. So he's not swayed by these women for not so subtle reasons. He's very artistic.
I like it.
Good times. It's great. It's fun.
I didn't see a lot of new things, but I'm going to. It wasn't a very exciting week for me, but I'm going to recommend the new season of Longmire, or the show Longmire in general.
oh yeah.
The new season was fun. If you like the show, though, the new season, because it was picked up by Netflix, stays true to itself. Because sometimes it gets picked up by something new. It's like when they redid the movie with the nukes and the things, and they picked up the third season after it was canceled. They didn't
Jericho.
Quite, it didn't
Yeah,
quite,
they didn't catch it back.
Yeah, I mean, they brought it back, but it didn't quite have the same feel because they were such
Spoilers,
limitations.
there's nukes in Jericho.
Or when they picked
Yeah,
up
who would have known from the cover that has a giant nuclear explosion in the background?
Yeah.
or when Netflix picked up Arrested Development.
Yeah, exactly.
Ran it,
That was-
ran
well,
it straight
yeah.
into
Well,
the
I
ground.
think it's different from there because Longmire though
The
was
cast is all back together.
The
except
cast
for
is all
one
back
guy that was already going to be written out of the show. I mean, it was the story arc is the same.
well that and it's all done by it was done by an in-house production company,
Yeah.
not Netflix's production company.
Yeah.
And that's why A&E got rid of it in the first place, is because they wanted to do their own stuff. And they just said, we're not going to pay you for the show.
It's a good show.
Do not watch
Is-
Arrested Development on season 4.
It's a shame.
But, no, Longmire. Awesome.
Good show. Have you finished it?
No, I can't talk about it.
How far? Oh, okay. Hey, how many episodes have you watched? Just the one?
Well, I'm going to watch
I'm
it
not-
again with you, too.
I know I'm not. I don't care. That's not my show.
Yeah.
To be Captain Negative, of course, as usual. That's just not for me.
Yeah.
But
I'm about halfway through it.
Okay,
And-
you're past episode 3.
I
Yes.
really
Oh
like
my God.
making fun of Branch every episode, all episode. So without him in it, I just really.
So
don't
am
care.
I the one with the T-Rex guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got T-Rex arms?
Yes. And he's the one that's gone, so it's not worth watching
Oh,
anymore.
okay.
Because he
Nah.
was retarded.
Brian looks confused. There's one guy who only ever does T-Rex arms. Like
Branch
his elbows are
will
glued to his
never,
torso.
Ever lift his elbow up.
I have to watch the entire show now.
His arms
T-Rex
are
arms.
always like this. So it is literally like watching a T-Rex do stuff. He'll like grab a coffee cup like this, and then you're like, "How do you drink?" And he never does.
I'm fascinated by this now. I'll have to go back.
Oh man, that's
I like
whole
the
show
main
for
actor
me.
a lot. See, that's a little bit like long.
He's got a really
like when you say
it's like a house.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like when you say you want to watch. You just want to see James Spader in the show. You see the main character. He's a good actor. But you see a ton of it focuses on him, and then Lou Diamond Phillips, who's also pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim, I think we'll watch it eventually.
okay. Yeah.
I mean,
I was just glad it felt exactly the same as the show, and it didn't lose. It wasn't like an Arrested Development where you lost something in the translation.
You lost 30 minutes of making fun of T-Rex Branch.
True.
T-Rex
awful.
Branch is
Just
fucking
awful.
amazing, though.
It's painful.
Man, I need to like Google this nonsense.
I guarantee if you do Google T-Rex branch, you will get results.
I still have pictures of Tim
I-
Curry stroke.
I think we're the ones who came up with that. We just talked about, because it was a throwback to Step Brothers.
I'm just Googling Branch.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing is you got to make Step Brothers references to that T-Rex scene. Son, grow the fuck up and stop making dinosaur noises, you know?
Never.
Every episode.
So then what's your recommendation, Longmire hater?
I don't know. I don't hate it. It's just, some things I'm just not going to invest a ton of time in.
Well,
And see, I just have like 300 hours of TV I watch a year, which is too much. But it's just a thing I do.
Yeah. I don't know. I've filled my week up with stuff I love to do, but I already talked about all of it, I think.
fair.
So I don't know what to recommend. Hold on. Blood Bowl Team Manager. Have I done that one yet?
Nope.
I don't know. Somebody should.
I'm going to recommend Blood Bowl Team Manager. We didn't even play it this weekend, but oh my god, is that game awesome.
If you would have played it this weekend, I would have been very pissed off because I wanted to play games this weekend, and all you guys chose these 6-hour marathon games to play.
You would have hated the games we played.
Well, yeah.
Probably someone's cell phone vibrating.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
But
there's no Google, there's no branch.
You're
The
right.
internet is not cut onto your Discovery.
Yeah.
No.
I'll take my phone
Oh
off
my
the
god.
table.
Somebody else has been talking about it. Like people, when they talk about Longmire, every once in a while it pops up with other people. I've heard it before. But Blood Bowl Team Manager is an awesome combination of a deck building game and silly Blood Bowl shenanigans. It's amazing.
I apologize for my phone. One of my brothers did a group text message with me and my other brother about the Packers, which means the two of them have texted 700 times a second for the last hour.
Did they win?
They're playing tomorrow.
No,
They don't
Tomorrow
play
night.
till tomorrow night.
And they're playing a tough matchup. But, I mean, that's not saying they're not going to win. They're the best team in the NFL.
They're
but-
asking who. Well, we're all Wisconsinites. Seahawks, Bears. Who do you root for?
Oh,
Bears.
that's impossibly difficult.
I went Bears. Right
I-
now, with the world as it is, fuck the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Go Bears.
Yeah, no, I'll cheer. I'll cheer for NFC North players or teams if they're taking on somebody horrible.
We'll
I
just beat
cheer
the
for the
Bears
Se-
later. We don't care how well they do during the season. Let the Seahawks die.
I can't.
I cheer for the Seahawks 50% of every Seahawks game. I really like Russell Wilson. I think he's a
I
really
like Brett Favre's
outstanding
little,
good
Brett
guy
Favre's
and a
little,
good
or not Brett
player,
Favre,
and
what
he
the
was a
hell.
bad.
Aaron Rodgers ditch, his little comment he made this week on him after the game.
Yeah.
He made some reference about God being on their side or something.
Yeah.
They made some fun little
Yeah.
comment about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because Russell.
And Russell Wilson's a nice guy and didn't say anything bad about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's a good guy.
I like him.
He's a good guy, and he was a
good guy.
batter's quarterback. So I root for the Seahawks a lot more than the Bears. I like watching the Bears' calamities. I don't know if that's rooting for them. I mean, even as like a rivalry situation, it's not even a rivalry situation. It's just disaster after disaster after disaster.
Yeah, at this point,
They're
Bears-
literally the bad news Bears.
It's like for me, it's also like for Thanksgiving Day. I basically cheer for the Lions, and then I cheer for whoever's taking on the Cowboys.
I never
That's-
cheer for the Lions because they've had some shit bags in the last few years.
My wife's name just got autocorrected to Ratline. Ratline.
That was an iPhone.
Yeah.
You posted that was on an iPhone.
All right,
Good times.
probably start calling it quits.
Yes.
All right,
This went too long.
It was a short one. That's
Short one.
great.
Nice, quick.
Just like board games, it doesn't matter if it goes long if you have fun the whole fucking time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's sometimes true. Mostly true.
Anything that can't invoke chafing, I don't care how long it goes as long as I'm enjoying it the whole time.
Dude, that's the worst part about working construction.
Chafing.
In the summer and you're sweating, your ass feels so terrible.
You know what I
Oh my God.
A little tidbit for those of you getting the
do?
instruction.
You know what I've heard? Is
There's probably talcum powder or something.
the talcum powder, or something I just heard recently is the silica gel packs that come in packages like shoes
Yeah.
and electronics and stuff. Those things are designed to soak up moisture. Just drop one in your underwear
my cousin
and work the day with a silica gel pack right in the bottom of the underwear, and it sucks up all the
yeah.
moisture. Then you get home and you just throw it away. It's got
Dude.
all your ball sweat in it.
My
I haven't
cousin-
tried it, but I heard it yesterday, and I'm like, that actually scientifically makes sense. And that's
My
scary.
cousin will go to the bathroom and just wipe his ass.
Well, yeah.
Like, he did not take a shit, just wipe his ass.
Yeah,
But-
you got swamp ass. Yeah,
but-
swamp ass sucks.
But that, and it chafes you, man, it's horrible. But to do that, you have to go into the pit of hell porta potties. Construction is something else.
That's the thing that scares me the most about construction. Not the work. It's the actually if you have to use going to a
Going
porta
into
potty
the
at a construction
bathroom.
site to me is the most terrifying aspect of
Wait
construction
until
work.
50 drywallers have used 2 porta potties all day, and then go in there once.
And remember, they're eating out of the taco truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they where they're generally from is they squat over a lidless thing to shit. They squat and shit. So that's what they do in the porta potties. So you might walk into one and there might be just shit all over the seat and splashed around. Oh, it's great.
I would just drive to the nearest gas station. It can't be more than like 20 minutes away.
Yeah, no, I mean, if,
What if you're building the nearest gas station?
it
Like the
happens.
one in the middle of nowhere. The previous one was 120 miles till next gas.
Yeah.
Now
And
this
it
one
happens.
is 60
You-
miles
and-
till
and
next gas.
If you're
I would get a
gone
shot.
Shit next to a
for-
cactus.
If it's like 135, you have no break in sight, and you're gone for 40 minutes. That's going to be a big
You
issue.
bring
for
your
career.
own bucket to work.
Yeah,
Just bring a bucket.
You
Bucket
have a
and a
hard
shovel.
hat. What do you
Yeah.
need that for?
What's that? Yeah.
You have a hard hat.
Yeah, that would be a tough thing.
That's the most terrifying thing
To
about the
acclimate
construction world to
to.
me.
Oh,
is
it's the you get used to it, and you don't understand how you're used to it.
that.
You,
You
take
walk
a
into the
comfortable
porta shitter,
toilet for granted.
You walk into the porter shitter for a 5-minute break from your boss if you're like really had enough. You're like, how am I hanging out here? This is hell. I don't get it.
You're like, maybe I could survive the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like I could live in Mad Max.
It gives you a different outlook on things.
Oh,
Because I hated McDonald's. I hated it, right?
Yeah,
You remember
no,
that.
it was high in your list of things that you thought was the worst.
Yeah, I thought McDonald's was the worst. I couldn't eat there. I wouldn't sit in one. Like, just
You'd starve over eating there.
I would starve over eating there. And now, if I see a McDonald's, it's like the oasis. I'm like, I'm going to go in there, and their bathrooms are almost clean. They have a whisper of air conditioning. There's not a huge amount of noise. There's just some. And I'm so hungry, I could eat anything. I love McDonald's. I've gone to McDonald's twice this weekend.
All right.
Probably
Jim's recommendation: McDonald's.
I recommended that one. I didn't want to repeat.
Goodbye, everybody.
Spectacular.